140 years there, 5.3 in magnitude, followed by several aftershocks. It emptied out hospitals in Zagreb, that country's capital. Debris from collapsed buildings littering the streets, with the health minister warning people to stay 7 feet from one another as they flee their homes. Croatia has 235 confirmed coronavirus cases, at least 17 people injured in that earthquake. All you can say to this is, seriously?
29 coronavirus test kits are gone, stolen from the El Rio Health Center in Tucson about 8 p.m. Friday. Police say surveillance video shows the suspect dressed as a delivery driver walking into the center and leaving with the kits. Employees did not notice the kits missing until the next morning. Authorities point out the kits are worthless without a functioning lab and professionals to interpret the results. The clinic was able to replace the kits. Ann Carrick, Fox News.
The Summer Olympics are set to start at the end of July in Tokyo. They may be moved or postponed, but they will not be canceled. That word a short time ago from the International Olympic Committee. Many athletes have said they're not interested in putting their lives and those of others at risk. I'm Jane Metzler, and this is Fox News.
Go green, go hybrid, go to Nanbo Insurance, and your next power bill is on us. Insure your hybrid car at Nanbo and get up to $350 towards your next power bill. That's instant savings for keeping our island clean and green. Nanbo has been providing Guam with over 50 years of reliable and affordable auto insurance. At Nanbo, it pays to go green. Terms and conditions apply. Visit nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for details.
Docomo Pacific wants to keep your business connected. When you sign up for a smart business bundle, you're gaining more than just mobile, internet, and phone services. Receive unbeatable value for your money and the convenience of having it all on one bill. All your business services on the widest and fastest network in Guam and the Marianas. Call 688-2677 for more information on partnering your business. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. How do you want it?
Cheer squad. Woo! Go Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. Woo! Give me a ham and jack slider.
Ham and jack slider.
Give me an Italian spice slider.
Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Half a day and good morning. It's 6:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with a look at your local news from the Guam Daily Post. A 68-year-old woman has become the island's first death related to COVID-19, and 12 more individuals were confirmed to have the virus, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 27. Officials said 153 tests were performed from March 12th through March 22nd, and conclusive results. All 26 remain confirmed cases are in isolation, and more than ever, officials are now urging members of the community to stay home. The 68-year-old woman had not traveled but was exposed to a family member who had recent travels to Japan. That family member also tested positive. Medical officials did note that the woman did have underlying health conditions. They say she was admitted to the hospital after she came in with fevers, chills, and shortness of breath. She passed away yesterday at 1:30 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, officials have announced that 2 of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 have frequented the Hafaday Bingo Hall in Tamuning. Residents who were at the bingo parlor from March 6th through the 16th are now urged to self-quarantine at home. Anyone who has flu-like symptoms, you are asked to contact the medical triage hotline immediately for screening. With a number of people already staying home and businesses shut down and many government offices closed, it's unclear whether even more extreme measures will be taken. A press release issued yesterday does leave some hints that it's not off the table, with a reminder to recipients of government benefits to safeguard their EBT cards in the event of a complete government of Guam shutdown. According to the release, in the event of a shutdown, they may not be able to issue replacement cards quickly if they are lost or misplaced. Now, in a press conference yesterday, the governor and her 2 medical advisors, Dr. Mike Cruz and Dr. Jolene Uggan, reiterated a plea for residents to remain at home. Additionally, they've asked residents to isolate themselves as much as possible from those who are older. Governor Leon Guerrero says people must be most vulnerable to COVID-19 are those with existing medical conditions and that compromises their immune systems, as well as the elderly. She says healthy, younger people are more likely to have more moderate symptoms. Dr. Mike Cruz says 5 of the first 14 cases have had recent travel, most of which is linked to the Philippines. And there is strong evidence that COVID-19 cases have spread throughout the community. And he says it's affected residents in northern, central, and southern villages. Several days ago, officials confirmed that some people who tested positive for COVID-19 were allowed to self-isolate at home. Cruz says temporarily isolating the positive COVID-19 patients at home, quote, was done in accordance with the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention guidelines and precedents set by the other states. And those who were temporarily placed in the home isolations have been subject to monitoring by public health staff, which included home visits and regular phone calls to check in. Well, the governor has activated the Guam National Guard into action, and beginning today, soldiers and airmen will be giving backup support for the Guam Police Department. The airmen and soldiers from the Guam Air and Guam Army Guard will assist assigned officers with perimeter security needs at the skilled nursing unit and the 3 quarantine locations. The SNU has been used as the government's isolation site for COVID patients. The guardsmen, they say, are highly trained and capable and will help GPD maintain safety, security, and the quality of life for our people of Guam. Meanwhile, the American Medical Clinic team is hoping to get more personal protective equipment, or PPEs, that will allow staff members to continue seeing patients. Dr. Nguyen says that they could run out of supply in the next day or 2 or 3 weeks if they don't get help from the government. The Joint Information Center, which is run out of Guam Homeland Security, did note that the government has received requests for equipment and supplies from some of these private clinics. Again, Dr. Nguyen says that they could run out of supply in 2 to 3 weeks. We'll have more news right after this.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
With scores of people held in quarantine, one arriving passenger felt it wasn't necessary to be held up and refused to submit to the governor's order for mandatory quarantine. U.S. Attorney Sean Anderson arrived on Guam on Friday and stated he didn't have symptoms of COVID-19, therefore refused the order, instead saying that he needed to work from home. Governor Leon Guerrero has now written a letter to the U.S. Attorney General calling on the removal of the U.S. Attorney for Guam and the CNMI after he allegedly challenged her authority and created an atmosphere of noncompliance which threatens our local government's ability to respond to the public health emergency. Well, with the recent decrease in the price of fuel, the Utilities Commission will take a look at dropping power rates. A meeting scheduled for tomorrow where the Consolidated Commission on Utilities will address a potential decrease in the fuel surcharge. The CCU would need to decide on the surcharge decrease before GPA can petition the Public Utilities Commission for the reduction and potentially have it implemented by April. The level of GPA's potential proposed reduction of the surcharge isn't known. And beginning today, the Guam Waterworks Authority in Upper Tumon, they will open up their drive-through service beginning Monday. It'll be open from Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. rather to 3:30 p.m. The agencies are also urging people to take advantage of the pay by phone mobile app or the online payment option. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Wait a second, where did I put it? Did I even start it with the weather here? Yeah, it's in a room somewhere. I've got partly cloudy skies. It's going to be a nice day with isolated light showers, winds out of the east 15 to 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs today should be about 88 degrees. There's partly cloudy skies with a slight chance of light showers this evening. East winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Overnight lows near 75. Highs tomorrow should be about 88 degrees. Sunrise this morning will be at 6:23, about 10 minutes from right now. Sunset today is going to be at 6:32. 6:32. You know, the beaches are still open, and it's okay to get out there and maintain some social distance between you and somebody else as you watch the sun make its way down on a Monday. At 6:13, that's News and Weather Together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
As we stand up to coronavirus by standing back with social distancing, Bank Pacific reminds you that you can come to the bank without going to the bank. Use many of our other delivery platforms like online banking at bankpacific.com, accessing cash at our ATMs, shopping with our debit cards. For businesses, we have secure cash and check drop windows, and we are employing a new smarter mobile app with remote deposit capture in the next few weeks. We're all in this together, and together we will win. Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, we place roots. Member FDIC.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
I think I can do that. 6:14 in the morning. They're currently encouraging customers over at Denny's to order takeout at their Micronesia Mall and Tamuning location. If you want to place an order, here's the numbers. Micronesia Mall, 637-1802. And in Tamuning at 646-1475. Can't remember those numbers because it's only 6:15 in the morning. All right, go to their Facebook page. Just look up Denny's Guam on Facebook. Get all the information that you need. The Ray Gibson Show is also being brought to you by Orkin, local pest control expertise with global coverage. Find them at 646-7546.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Saying, wait a second, the EPA said don't go to the beach. Yeah, I saw that. They said not to go to the beach because they're shut down and nobody's testing anything. So just presume that if it was filthy last week, it'll be filthy again this week. But actually, you know, it is my theory, and I agree with a couple of people that have been up and down Tumon in the last few days. It is my theory that because there are fewer tourists out there, fewer people frolicking in the waters, there's a lot more sea life that's coming closer to shore. And I didn't break out the camera yesterday, but I did note that when I was doing my Sunday over at the beach deal. Did that right over by in front of Hyatt, which is weird. It's haunting how quiet Tumon is right now. But I was able to get up to the water's edge because I had to go pee a couple of times, and there were a lot more little fishies around, and not little ones. They were kind of big, kind of hand-sized fish as well. And there was
no one on the beach, so you could actually pee from the edge.
Or you just stand up. Do like horses do. Welcome to the broadcast. Excuse the mess. I know. Your other brother is civilized, not this one. It is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. Great to have you along for whatever the rides are going to be like over the next few days. What day is today? Today's 23, so another 7 days left in
it's
in
my
this
husband's birthday.
kind of shutdown. Hey, happy birthday, Phil. Now it's a very, very. What are we going to do for his birthday?
Happy birthday.
Happy quarantine birthday.
It's gonna be like a very private, quiet.
I imagine.
Yeah, we even told the other kids you can't come over. No.
Private, quiet.
Stay home. We'll do this later.
It's the opposite. That's the complete opposite way to describe your husband.
Yes, I know.
So this is going to be rather rough.
Yeah, so we wanted to have like a big barbecue kind of thing, have the parties over and mullies and stuff, but no, not going to happen.
After when it's all said and done, I think there's going to be a whole lot of pent-up partying that's going to be taking place. Not to say that there isn't already. I mean, you can drive through the village and see all these people, and they're trying to follow the quarantine law. They're trying to follow the orders about, stay at home and do all of that stuff. But they're staying at home and they're clustering up in the garages in the front yards. It's like surrounded by the cooler and whatever's making music or something like that. It's like I don't think that's quite the social distancing, but Who am I to judge? I ain't going to be the judgy guy that's driving around the village going, you're
nice,
supposed to maintain 7 feet of distance there, you guys.
But what was nice this weekend was a lot of our local artists were online and doing little concerts and little things that people, to lift people's spirits. And that was really nice to see. Joe Guam was one of them.
I've got the Joe Guam video. We're going to play that here
that
this
was
morning.
so
Is
nice.
get people started here. 6:18 in the morning. That's Mona Silva Tyrant. She'll take care of news and information and things like that from the Guam Daily Post. Quickly moving scene that we've got here, and we were at a certain number of coronavirus infections here on Guam, and unfortunately over the weekend had our first fatality from coronavirus, and we send out our prayers and our thoughts to the family. At this point, still don't know exactly who it is, and only a little bit of information surrounding that fatality and the death. But it is serious. I mean, as much as I try to have a very positive and upbeat attitude about all of these things that are going on, this is still a serious and developing situation. If the lady over at Adelup is telling you to stay indoors, then stay indoors, and if she's telling you to hold off on hugging and kissing on everybody, then maybe ought to do that at least temporarily until we can get our claws around this coronavirus that we've got. Real Joe Cruz gets the phone when you call at 888-825-588-TALK. 988-5874 is the WhatsApp. If you've got something that you want to share, maybe you've come across a clever meme, or maybe you've got some great ideas that you want to share with people. In fact, there were a couple of them I thought were interesting on social media that I saw, and I'll get around to the table of contents and some of the other things in a second. But one of the more interesting things that I saw is, do you have a dominant hand? You do. I mean, are you right-handed? Mona is right-handed. Real Joe, right-handed, left-handed?
Right-handed.
All right, and I'm right. Okay, so the three of us are normal. I'm just messing around. I want to see if I get a rise out of the lefties out there. But so they say, I've read this on the social media, so it must be true. If you're going to be, touching handles and doing all kinds of stuff out in the real world, door handles and nozzles for the gas or whatever, they say use your non-dominant hand, because you generally don't touch your face with your non-dominant hand.
This is true.
You see me driving around, if I got a hand on the wheel and I got, thumb in my beard and playing with my nose and my eyes or whatever with my right hand. But if I'm touching things with my left hand, then that is going to be the contaminated hand, but least likely to find its way to my face.
Too many rules to follow.
I hear that.
Oh my goodness.
I want to go back to the old days where I could do whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to, and all of that stuff. 20 after
non-dominant hand. Okay.
6 o'clock in the morning. We'll talk to these dominant folks here.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
There's Marilu Berseman, comes in at number one, and top fan number one, and also major contributor to the morning show. She sees something out there in the world that she thinks needs to get shared. She knows this is the place to do it. Thanks, Marilu. I appreciate that. James Howard's online. James says, "This is it, baby. Spike the ball." Every morning has been. Can I just say, every morning has been Spike the Ball morning, and it was so just refreshing. I know that you're craving for the information and stuff like that, but it was kind of cool to wake up on Saturday and Sunday morning and not have to read every drop of ink on every newspaper and every website in the whole wide world to make sure everybody was up to speed. Hopefully you were able to keep track of everything yourself, found all of the usual spots, or just the stand-in-line halai that seemed to be in marked evidence on Saturday. There was just everybody seemed to be in some kind of a line to get to the gas station, a line to get to the bank, a line to stand in over at the base when they finally opened their doors to everybody. What a mess that looked like.
That was a horrible mess, and sad to say that there was a lot of our Manumku who were stuck in that line for hours.
And then it rained.
And it was just one story that I heard over the weekend, and this is just horrible, is a woman actually stood in line for 3 hours, got into the base, did her shopping, got to the front of the line, and they said, or actually she was out in the line for 2 hours. She got to the front of the line to pay, and they said, it's for 60 and up. And she was 59, and they wouldn't let her pay. So she had to go back outside and stand in line all over. She didn't leave until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
Just matopping. J.B. St. Nicholas is online. There's our secret shopper for the program. Sherry Iriarte, good morning to Ismael Velez. I got Nate Horn, Alex Afflugui, Pam Duvall, rounding out the top 10. Keenan McCausland up in Washington State. How's it going up there? You guys get your resupply of toilet paper and Lysol? Word that we've got from
plenty.
From the...
toilet
here.
paper.
Yeah. Yeah, toilet paper
and
seems to
towel,
be.
I saw a lot, but no spray or anything.
My understanding is the stores of Lysol will be replenished this week. Hopefully, along with that, some PPEs that sounds
buy
like.
some for Real Joe Cruz for his birthday.
That's all. What do you want for your birthday? I want Lysol and Clorox wipes. Stephen Klein is online. I got Real Joe Cruz there as well. Cousin Troy Torres saying hi. Nice to see you. You get any answers? He was asking the question. There was a statement that came out of Dr. Mike Cruz talking about there's what is it? Significant. Actually, I wrote this down. Significant. Indicators that the coronavirus now is in the north, central, and south. And Cousin Troy asking over the weekend in email form, so they couldn't miss it. Email form. What exactly did Dr. Cruz mean by that? Where exactly? What significant information do we have that would indicate that there is coronavirus virtually everywhere? Now, it might have to do with the locations where some of these current victims are coming from, but we don't know because there needs to be more information. There needs to be more jamming out of the information. As I indicated earlier, as you know, in some of our conversation, this is like typhoon, and when we get to we're like core 1 in the typhoon, and there needs to be announcements coming out of the JIC. Like the National Weather Service comes out with something every 2-3 hours when we're in core 1. We need to have exactly the same kind of thing, even if it's just regurgitating what we already had. Just come out and say at 6 o'clock in the morning we're going to have an announcement. At 10 o'clock we're going to have another one, and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then at 6 at night, maybe another one between 6 and early morning. But just keep that flow of information going, and because there's enough that people want to know about, and frankly, the problem is we're all hooked on social media these days. Anything that you don't come out with, people are making up as they go on the social media. So get some more as much as possible as you can. Vivian Cunningham is online this morning. Mark Anthony is there. I see Jeanette Suzuki, Gabriel Lynn, or Lynn Gabriel, either way you want to do it. Zoe Funquez is online. Good morning to Sabine Chargaloff, Amanda Dominguez. That's Amando Dominguez. Stay safe, Guam. Good day, Ray and Mana from Armando Silva Dominguez.
That's my cousin.
Must be. Jaywort Franco Julian is online. Caroline Diaz with a K. Buenas. Howdy and half a day from Texas. Keep it on the point. Thank you, Caroline, and let all your other Chamorro friends and neighbors online know that this is where you're coming for information about what's going on here on Guam with the coronavirus, or just, hey, look, there's a guy on Guam. He's online. Gus Castro DeSanga says, I can only imagine how Carl T.C. Gutierrez would have spearheaded this coronavirus situation if he was the governor today. And then he's got the targets. Just saying. It's okay. You don't have to put it just saying. I think there's a lot of people that wonder out loud that same question. How would Eddie have done it? How would Felix have done it? Andy Camacho is online. Zonray Tight to know. What's in the water? I think we've already built up immunities to COVID-19. Mike Israel, my godbrother Mike Israel, sent me an interesting email that I've only had the time to scan here this morning. We'll hear from him later. But it's an interesting petri dish that we have. There was one of these cruise lines, right? One of these cruise ships that they've got, and it's kind of freaky because there's so many people that got sick. There's 700 plus people that got sick on the cruise ship. But there's a whole bunch of other people that did not get sick. They're breathing the same air. They were touching the same doorknobs. They were, watching the same shows. They were going to the same buffets, doing all of these things. People got sick. A couple of people died, unfortunately. But there's this huge majority of people on the boat that did not get sick. And the question that people are asking themselves is, why? What is it about them that allowed them to maintain a healthy and strong immune system and be impervious, at least to this point, to the onset of the disease? I think that's an interesting question. Not an MD, but we'll see what we can find out. Sam Beanie is online. Al Batista says 2 p.m. here when the show starts. Half hour past beer 30. Well, Al, I'm here to tell you that it's always beer 30 somewhere. And if you're not sure, then see if you can get into the nearest airport, nearest lounge in an airport, and see if they'll serve you alcohol at that time. Chances are likely they will, because as far as I'm concerned, once you're in the airport, you're in international travel. Time zones and alcohol laws no longer apply to you, period. My buddy Nick Perlosky online here this morning. What do we got? PDN reported the U.S. attorney has authorization. Time travel. What? Nick, rewrite that so I can read it for you. I appreciate that. Pam Duvall said, went to AMC for testing on Friday, was told my swabs would be sent to public health. From there, public health determines whether or not my symptoms are worthy of the CDC testing off island. AMC said within 24 to 48 hours they would call me. I'm still waiting for the call. You know, give them some time, a little bit more time to process. Seems to me everybody is headed to the AMC these days because they're open not just for that kind of thing, but also urgent care. Jules Elmer's online. Josephine Bloss is there. Joe, what's happening with the guard community? I guess they've been mobilized or put on assignments from the governor's office.
They've been activated, and they will be assigned to the skilled nursing unit and the 3 quarantine sites to give backup to the police department.
All right. I think they need that because we got to get the police department out on the streets doing patrols and catching curfew violators, which they've apparently got just short of a dozen of them over the weekend.
And these guard members are highly trained in not just security measures, but they also, a certain number of them do have training in emergency management too. So they act as medics while they're out on the field.
They can help out in community
can be
resolution.
Used in many ways.
The mitigations, as they say. Deanne England says, half a day. Please listen to the warning. Stay at home. Stay safe. Guam. Bob Kelly is there. I see Ray Sablon. Yvette Ibanez. Nice to see you back online. Ron and Cindy De La Rosa. Good morning, pretty. Belen Sidell, who spends all of her time, since she's not doing anything else because of the quarantine, her and the boys are spending all of their free time in the swimming pool. Recommended. Gwen Timinglu is online. Hafidzoy Franquez. What have I got? Jay Rojas says, actually, Ray Gibson, it's use your left hand to touch your face. You are more likely to grab and hold things with your right. Also, shaking hands. So if you can contaminate your right hand, you touch your face with your left. All right. So as Mona said, too many rules. There's too many rules. So use your non-dominant hand to open the doors. He says, no, go ahead and use your right hand to open the door, your dominant hand to open your door, but use your non-dominant hand when you want to touch your face.
And fill up your tabo before you sit down.
Fill up the tabo before you sit down.
Too many rules.
Darlene Blas is online. Lady D says, most not wearing masks. Dave Torrey and Renee Lau are online as well. Renee, do me a favor. I need some guidance on what you guys want me to say for iConnect, because I know that they being non-essential, most of the office operations are shut down. What do we got? Yoichi Rangel says, United Airlines Flight 157 to Koror last night canceled. I wonder how many will be canceled this week, even before the 25th, when they are going to go down to just one flight a week in that. And the answer is, I don't know. I mean, if there's nobody getting on the airplane except a crew and that's it, the navigators and mechanics and things like that, maybe it's time that they start, to the best they can, start holding those things back. I mean, unless there's a requirement to be flying things back and forth between here and Koror, for example, stuffed crab. Roy Burgess is online. Roy, you get any running in over the weekend? Boy, I tell you what, that's all there is in Tumon now. It's just runners and walkers. I did my 3-4 mile run on Saturday. Went down because there was nothing else to do. Went down to Tumon and saw total on the sidewalks, maybe 2 tourists, maybe. A couple of military guys up and down the street. The rest of it were all walkers and runners. What are you laughing at?
He's choking because...
What did Joe?
This morning I went out on my run,
yeah,
and I come back, and I just happened to glance at Facebook, and thanks, Joe, for telling me that there was a possibility there was loose lions and tigers.
What?
He didn't even warn me.
Well, someone put out a little picture of a tiger walking down the street, and it said, everybody stay home. The sandcastle tiger got loose.
and before I left, he's like, have a good run.
Don't you worry about it.
No warning. Watch out for the tigers.
They're well fed. They're well fed. And they're probably going for something else. 6:31 in the morning. We'll get around to taking a breast look at who's online, who's playing around. It really is. It's delightful that we are all here together again doing this morning show thing. And I'm just happy because it's our little community. And more, I am of the opinion that we are going to have the pandemic potluck. Talked to Dennis Benser about it on Friday. He's down for the whole thing. All we got to do is nod in Pam Duvall's general direction, and here comes the big thing at Chicken Kelligwan, right? So we got to start. Yeah. Can we do that today? Do we have to wait until the pandemic is over? Anyway, 6:32 in the morning. More to come. We'll take a look at the table of contents. But frankly, it's all coronavirus. I'm struggling to find any other information, any other stories not related to corona. Let's see if I'm successful after the headlines. Now with news from the Guam Daily Post, here's Montecillo Tyron.
The number is now 27, with one death related to COVID-19. Yesterday, a 68-year-old woman became the island's first death related to the virus. The 26 remaining confirmed COVID cases are in isolation, and more than ever, officials are urging members of the community to stay home. The 68-year-old woman said to have health conditions when she was exposed to a passenger who traveled to Japan. He also tested positive for COVID. It's been discovered that 2 of the recent cases of COVID-19 had frequented Hafaday Bingo Hall in Tamuning. Residents who were at the bingo parlor from March 6th through the 16th are asked to self-quarantine. If they have any flu-like symptoms, you are urged to contact the medical triage hotline immediately for screening. And the governor's activated the Guam National Guard. Beginning today, soldiers and airmen will provide backup to the Guam Police Department. The Guardsmen will be at the skilled nursing unit and at 3 quarantine sites, where they will be helping provide safety and security. And there could be a shortage of medical supplies soon if the government doesn't step in. The American Medical Clinic making the call for more personal protective equipment, or PPEs, for their staff. The clinic open now for urgent care. They say that they could run out of supply in the next 2 to 3 weeks if the government doesn't give some help. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper, log on to their website at postguam.com.
Boy, isn't that something? Remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a word that went out from many in the medical community telling everybody, please don't buy the gloves. Please don't buy all of the masks. We will need those for first responders and healthcare professionals. Otherwise, there's going to be a drain on the system. And sure enough, people didn't listen, went out and bought all the good masks, bought all the rubber gloves, and now the folks in the medical community are saying, we are running short.
Well, Kmart, I noticed, did have some rubber gloves for sale, small, medium, and large, and extra large. But I don't know anybody who has any more masks. I don't see those anywhere. Not that I go a whole lot of places.
Yeah, well, they're hoping that there's going to be a whole big, huge shipments of those things coming in from the federal government.
Have they tapped into the dentist offices? I know that Dr. Kaneshiro is still open, but they do have their own supply. Would they provide some support?
Start looking around, start shaking the trees, and see what happens. 6:35. If you've got some and you're not using them, or you're pretty sure you're not going to use them, then maybe the smart thing to do would be to take those to over to AMC and give them to Dr. Nguyen and say, okay, go for it, buddy. 6:35 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. 888-8888.
Cocoa Coffee Company mugs are now here. Show pride for your island as you enjoy your delicious Circle K coffee. Each generously sized 16-ounce mug is etched with Guam-inspired images like Chief Gadao, Serena, 2 lovers, and many more. The Cocoa Coffee Company mug collection is available for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Get yours today and collect them all. Exclusively available at Circle K locations. A portion of the proceeds go toward the Cocoa Bird Recovery Program.
Studio time 6:35. Wendy's open for business, but taking extra steps to ensure your safety. They're closed for dine-in, but they're open for the to-go orders. And the cool thing is, you go into a Wendy's and they got the thing marked off, so you know exactly where the 6 feet is per customer when you go up and make your to-go order. Local breakfast platters and breakfast sandwiches in the combos. Don't forget to try their bacon fried rice. Love the price on that too. The real deal for breakfast is at Wendy's. Now that's better. Ray Gibson Show also being brought to you by American President Lines, global presence with a local home.
Today, this is Congressman Nicholas. The federal government is making $7 million in small business disaster loans available for small businesses impacted by the coronavirus. If you would like more information, please contact our office at 671-475-6453 or our local Small Business Administration office at 671-472-7419. You can also email our office at michael.sanicholas@mail.house.gov. God bless you and God bless Guam.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
San Nicolas. Mr. San Nicolas says go into the traffic, and there is voila traffic here this morning. A little bit of traffic in the back road of Anderson, but nothing major. Just like more than 1 or 2 cars lined up to stop or something like that. Looking at very, very sparse traffic. Marine Corps Drive southbound into the intersection of 1 and 3. That's running clear. A little bit busy as you get closer to the Upper Tumon area and over by Santos Hill in between the Weston and Marine Corps Drive, though nothing major happening there. Should be smooth running all the way to DPW, the Kmart area, and John F. Kennedy High School, where they've got a sign up that says stay safe. But the other cool thing is the sign of good things happening over at John F. Kennedy. Have you driven by there? And it's kind of off-putting because they haven't unwrapped it yet, or they had not unwrapped it from yesterday. They've got the statue of JFK up there, but it's all wrapped up in the bubble tape and all of that stuff, and it looks kind of like a standing corpse. it's just the sun's already up, right? Sun's up, so if you're driving by the area, just kind of take a look at it, and it looks like somebody has stood up a dead body on the podium. But eventually they're going to have a ceremony. I saw the guys out there yesterday. They've already water blasted the place, and somebody is doing some repainting and relaying of the little pebbles on the side. That thing is going to look good as new here in just a little bit. So congratulations to the alumni and the students that are all pitching in to give back to the John F. Kennedy community. I think that's great.
Should they just unwrap him and put a mask on his face?
That'll work too. It's 6:38, and traffic right now. Traffic being brought to you by the Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow.
Thanks to Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, people are discovering some of the lowest mortgage rates in years, right on their smartphones.
Rates are in the 3s?
And with Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, you can apply online, even for a VA loan, or sit down with one of our mortgage experts.
We should apply now.
Check rates and apply online today with Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii. Visit BOH.com/mortgage. Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow. Equal housing lender.
Tattoo shops as well.
Rediscover talk radio here. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
All right, what have I got? 20 away from 7 o'clock in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show Monday. After what a weekend. What a weekend it was. All right, so Real Joe talking about putting a mask on the statue of John F. Kennedy in front of John F. Kennedy High School. I think that's a capital idea. I think for fun we ought to put masks on all of the statues that we've got here on Guam, including the flying lady over at the Guam International Airport. As they greet the one or two passengers that are still coming to Guam once upon a time. It's true. You get down in the Tumon area and from about the Archbishop. Should have a mask. Archbishop Circle all the way over to the Westin. There's nothing going on, and that's what it looked like on Saturday. Usually Saturday about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's drive time for runners and walkers up and down the street. Nobody. The only with a couple of exceptions, I saw Senator Luis Muñoz was out there, and Jim Moylan, not together. They weren't, but they were both walking up and down the street, and took the time to pause the running just a little bit to say hello and how you doing, and hey Jimmy, this economy is going to be a disaster for a long time. It's going to take us forever to climb out of this hole. And he says, yeah, it kind of looks like that. And so we'll see if we can get some.
But we're going to climb out together because it's not like it's one business over the other. It's everybody.
Everybody's hurting one way or the other. There's a couple of Facebook groups that have gotten together. I got requests from Cause Endo to join a group to the best and to support it as best as I possibly can. And basically, it's a group of people that know a thing or two about where you might be able to go and get a deal on a to-go meal or some kind of dine outside meal or something like that from the businesses that are still out there and open. I'll see if I can get that link and stick it up online, because there's a lot. What they're basically trying to do is put together one place on Facebook where you can go and see the menus, what time restaurants are opening, and what time they're closing, and what they've got to offer. And I think that's one of those kind of things where this is, as you say, we're all pulling on the same rope, and I want to make sure that when this is all done, some of the restaurants and some of the businesses that we like to support are still there on the other side. And right now it's kind of dicey. I know that they're working in Washington D.C. on a number of different resolutions, legal resolutions that they can do, and the printing presses of the United States of America are going to be going into overtime as they are going to start printing a ton of money to send out to individuals to provide some kind of relief to us, and also money that they're going to be sending out to businesses so that they can continue to keep the lights on, maintain employment, and things like that. Still tricky what they're working out in Washington D.C. We'll see if we can get Congressman Mike Nicholas on the line at some point this morning. It's funny how all of the days for everybody seem to be running together because we don't have the usual bookmarks and milestones in our week. So I reached out to Congressman St. Nicholas. He'd sent me something. I said, hey, let's talk about it on the radio. And he started dialing the phone. He sends me another note about 10 minutes later. He says, nobody's answering the phone at your radio station. And I'm like, because it's Sunday. I meant let's talk about it tomorrow. He's like, dude, I'm not sure what day it is anymore because it just, there's so much motion, so much activity that is going on. Yeah, Ronnie, it is another day. But there's some of the changes are actually kind of positive. Keenan McCausland online this morning talking about how awesome it was to be able to watch the live stream of the Mass from Our Lady of Lourdes yesterday up in Gigo. Did you catch that? Did you Mass?
A little bit.
She didn't catch it. She's just saying that. No, I was looking all over Facebook. I was trying to find Masses all morning long.
I saw it on a quick.
I know. I saw the same thing with Father Gofagan up there, and he's doing his. But you forget how pretty that church is, unless you get in there from time to time. But yes, it is nice, and a nice Mass, and a nice way that we note how much things have changed for all of us, and how I think for some people that might have been a little bit off-putting, because I know folks that go to Mass because they like to go to Mass and be closer to Christ, and that. But I also know a lot of people who go to Mass because they like the fellowship, they like being in the presence of family and friends and neighbors. So I think there's a whole bunch of that is lost these days. 643-888-8255-888-TALK is my telephone number yonder in these parts. As I said, happy to hear from you if you've got some interesting news. I don't have the numbers just yet, but I was looking at where West Texas was yesterday and trying to remember when in my life it has been as low as it is these days, and hoping that maybe the CCU working with the Guam Power Authority might be pushing for a change in the LEAC. $22.63 for a barrel of West Texas crude. Simon Sanchez, is that not one of the most amazing things that we've seen recently?
Yes, indeed, although I have really no sympathy for the oil industry. It's great for our ratepayers. I'm walking by your favorite fence across from JFK out of Marine Drive, trying to get some exercise.
No, good for you. So you can see what I'm talking about, how they've got the new JFK statue that Eddie Cruz got, along with some other guys, and how much nicer that podium is starting to look.
Yes, and someday we'll do Simon Sanchez as well. But,
yes.
For now, we're all about COVID and being safe and taking care of our loved ones, and still trying to function in this very funky situation, very different situation.
Well, how are things over at the laundry? I mean, obviously with a lot of your restaurant business, hotel business, airplane business, not getting as many napkins and towels in these days, huh?
Yeah, surely. With everyone dining out, if you're even open at all, obviously you're not using napkins, and then that's good. At least the restaurants are open to get some revenue in and feed people, which is good. We're glad for our partners, and of course the airlines are drying up in terms of people arriving. My brother said he had a friend arrive on JAL last Tuesday from Japan, and he was the only one on the plane.
Oh, I believe that. Hearing similar stories. A mutual friend of ours works in the hotel industry. Got on a 777 out of Narita City, and practically among just a small handful of people. I think they just took everybody that had seats in the back and said, "You fly up in first class with us today."
Yeah. So it's a very unusual time. We'll remember this one. And, I think the uncertainty, I was just talking with my cousin Robbie, who was running and walking. He said the uncertainty of not knowing when it's going to end, unlike a typhoon, right, where you generally have a sense that it blows by and it leaves and then you start rebuilding. We don't know what the end game is. And I think as more tests emerge, we're seeing more hits, which you sort of expect.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll just have to continue to do that. I hope at the national level they mobilize more on getting PPEs out and test kits out. We seem a little slow on that piece, but every place is slow. I think that's the other thing to remind all of ourselves. Everyone is trying to get PPEs. Everyone is trying to protect their frontline healthcare folks. Everyone's trying to get tests, and when you don't have unlimited tests, you have to be selective in who you test, which is not ideal, but it's very understandable.
Yeah.
We don't have 160,000 tests to run around all of Guam, so you really have to think it through. But no place has been immune. No country's been immune. You're seeing the states locked down, just like the governors locked down our territory. Although you notice none of them have shut off airports per se.
Sure.
They might shut off a flight from Europe to America, but at least internally you can still fly within America. You can still fly to Honolulu, to California from Guam. And that's a huge, it's a real, appreciate the debate as you listen to it. Should you lock down, shouldn't you lock down? That's a tough call for any governor. It's a tough call for everybody.
Well, I can appreciate where we are at right now, and I appreciate also being able to run to the hardware store if I need something from there, and the grocery store, which I find myself needing a little bit more often. You think you stocked up, and then you realize when you're trying to cook a salmon or something like that, I got no lemons here. So you got to go across the way to the place and see what their lemon stock is. 647, and as I said, $22 and change for a barrel of West Texas crude. We're seeing gasoline prices in the States. Now, somebody told me that they're seeing for the first time in some states under $1 a gallon for gasoline, and so we're moving in the right direction on that one. And my understanding is that you guys are going to get together somehow virtually online here and have a conversation between the CCU and GPA and find out where they're at in the conversation about another reduction in the LEAC.
Yeah, Chairman Duenas has called us into session tomorrow. We'll limit attendance. We'll spread out 6 feet. But one of the big decisions, John is recommending a reduction in the LEAC, and we want to reduce that LEAC because oil has fallen, and we want to do that tomorrow and then get that over to the PUC so that they can look at it and hopefully approve it. I think it doesn't, everyone is seeing the fall in oil prices that you talk about every day, and we're able to pass those savings on at a time people need savings. And so John is recommending a decrease in the LEAC tomorrow. I'm sure we'll act on it.
Do we have a number on that? And it's also a little bit noisy where you're at. There's a little bit more traffic at where you're, or maybe you're running that fast.
No, I'm not running that fast. Yeah, I'm just off of Marine Drive.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like from the preliminary, and it's very preliminary, but John's recommending about a 10.5% drop in the power bill.
Yes.
So that's on top of the 8% drop on February 1st. So when you put it all together, it's almost 19% since February 1st. Think about a $4 a gallon gas pump. Knock off 20%, that'd be $3.20. We're doing, in effect, that much for the power bill. And John has proposed that. We'll look at the numbers tomorrow. We're going to try to run that number as high as we can. We'd like to get the savings as much as we can to our ratepayers at a time where people are unemployed, businesses don't have any revenue.
Yeah.
It's a tough time. So that's what John is recommending. We'll beat that number up tomorrow, 6 feet apart, of course. And I suspect we'll be passing a lowering of the LEAC tomorrow evening. It's actually tomorrow at noon.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. As soon as you get some information on that. So that's just the CCU and the Guam Power Authority. It still has to go to the commission, the Public Utilities Commission. They've got to bless it. Is there a precedent ever for the CCU or GPA taking an action without the Public Utility Commission actually meeting on it? Kind of one of those. We're pretty sure they're going to approve it, so we're going to institute this new rate now, and they'll do a post approval later on.
No, that would violate the law. That would violate bond covenants. I'm sure John B. will reach out to Fred Harecki and Chairman Johnson, and I'm sure they'll do what Chairman Duenas has done for the PUC. They will try to figure out a way to meet collectively without violating any health protocol and try to pass it. That's my guess. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't, other than the health risk. But if they can physically create the meeting like we're going to do tomorrow, and we're all going to sit 6 feet apart, we're going to limit how many people are in the room.
Yep.
And
everybody wears masks.
Through the agenda.
Yeah.
That's optional. Some may, but we're clearly going to have social distancing. But we do want to get in there long enough to lower the power bill.
All right. Well,
that's what we plan to do tomorrow.
I'll watch all of that a little bit later on. So I'm going to let you get back to your exercise. Be careful crossing the streets. Look both ways and wash your hands.
I don't move that fast.
You'll be fine. I'll see you soon, buddy. 888-825-5888-TALK. Simon Sanchez, man in the move, literally. And I got my godbrother Mike Israel is on the line. Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Hi, Ray. I'm back in sunny Guam doing my Pilates in my in-home quarantine.
And thank God that I bought some dumbbells before and some kettlebells so I can get some of my exercise in because I can't go to the gym. Not like I've got a membership these days, but still and all, I'm delighted that I can still do some of the calisthenic work in the house. Night away from the top of the hour. Wanted to get in addition to some of the things that you sent me already that I thought were very, very interesting. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are, Mike Israel. Bill, a businessman, an entrepreneur, and a guy that knows a lot of things about a lot of things. What's going to be next for Guam? I mean, we've got the kind of current reality. What's your prediction on what things are going to be like in the short term and maybe medium term? What are you thinking?
You know, I'm just absolutely dumbfounded. Things are moving so fast. Massive decisions are being made with almost little to no input because it can't be, because it's moving so fast. 7 days ago, literally 7 days ago, a few hours ago from 7 days ago, I was traveling in the United States, spring break. I was picking up my kids, and we were going to enjoy a little vacation time together, and that all got shot to hell. But 7 days ago, exactly 7 days ago, I was actually calling in to the various businesses here, and we were talking about Guam's recovery. We were talking, the hotels were about 50 to 60% occupancy, which is really bad. This is when the corona was first affecting our markets, South Korea and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before any action had been taken here. And we were talking about, hey, you know what? Maybe in 30 days we'll be back up in normal. We were starting to receive reservations or inquiries about, hey, can you take some reservations in about a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? So this is versus the 2 weeks before this, where everybody was calling in and canceling reservations left and right, and we were seeing the hotel empty down into the 50 to 40% range. Okay, so we were actually predicting the morning of Monday, price rise, and then by late Monday morning, everything turned to pot. We went from don't worry to our employees, you're all going to be, we've got jobs, to suddenly we don't know. We are being shut down by our own government because they're trying to contain this flu that's going around. And I mean, I agree that we need to do some things. I think President Trump has shown amazing good leadership in trying to find line between let's not kill the baby, at the same time let's solve the problem. In this case, I think our cure is going to be worse than the disease.
I've echoed the same sentiment. As I'm wondering how many people how many people we're going to lose in the economic downturn and a planet-wide depression as a result of all of this. Never mind the virus. The virus is going to come and go at some point, but I think the economic ramifications are going to stay with us for an awful long time.
A very long time. And we're kind of fortunate in that our market, our business livelihood, is dependent on Asia, which is basically Japan and South Korea, and they're kind of over it. I mean, as you know, the Japanese are very, very health-conscious people, and they're very, very skittish. And we have a friend of ours who's the most health-conscious, the most skittish, the most hypochondriac person you ever met. I mean, she's the kind of person that, I don't know, when North Korea was launching missiles over Japan, she fled to Guam to hunker down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And crazy like that. We talked to her this earlier this week. It's like, how's everything in Japan? She's like, because we were trying to tell her, why don't you flee to Guam? You know, Japan's bad. And she's like, are you kidding? Everything's fine here. We're all back to normal now. They're back to normal.
Isn't that something? Well, and we're watching the numbers out of China. Chinese numbers, they're not reporting any new cases out of China. The only problem is it's China, and everything they say you take with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way. Thousands of people die every day in China, okay? How many people do you think died of the common flu last year in America? Every year.
Yeah, half a million?
30,000 to 80,000 people. That means every single day, over 100 people die of the common flu in America. Normal circumstances, okay? How many people have died total in America? A couple hundred over a 90-day period? In the meantime, how many people have died of all these other things? I mean, now I'm watching things there because I'm a very health-conscious person. It's affecting the elderly. There's a discrete population that is majorly at risk.
Yes.
People who have compromised. Now, you're fairly healthy. You used to be a pack-a-day smoker, right? But you quit.
2 packs. 2 packs was good. I
didn't want to rub it in, you know? But I remember when you used to be that guy who was smoking all the time, but now you're Mr. Health Conscious. You started running. Vapors, stop it. Vaping will kill you, and the corona is going to make it worse. My daughter, who was in college not more than a week ago, is now sitting in my house looking at a TV screen, trying to learn. I don't know if she's going to learn music over a TV internet, but okay. She has to sing with our internet connection. Good luck. And She said, "Oh, my one of my college friends. He's 25 years old, male, college student. His lungs are filling up with pneumonia, and he tested positive for corona." I said, "Great. I mean, not great, but that's very sad. Tell me about him. What's his health like?" "Oh, he vapes all day long." So yes, if you're a vapor, if you're a major smoker, if you have other reasons why you have a compromised immune system, you definitely should be in lockdown and isolation. My mom is in a senior facility.
Yep.
They don't let anybody near it, and I totally support that. You lock the vulnerable people down. The healthy people, we don't need to be locked down like this. Now, we need to do what Donald Trump said, which is President Trump, which is over-practice what he does. He's a germaphobe. He washes his hands constantly. And stay your distance. And if you're sick, stay home. Don't infect other people. But by the way, that's advice we should be living by from day one.
Pretty much all the time. And those are some interesting points. So
I'm walking around listening to all this corona stuff, and meanwhile, I'm watching people take cigarette breaks. And I'm like, seriously? Seriously? We're tanking our economy, and people are still smoking, and people are still vaping. I mean, if you really need to exercise your executive orders, seize all vaping products on this island. Seize all cigarettes. Now you'll have an outcry. I mean,
yeah.
But at least we can afford to buy food. I mean, it's only been 5 days, guys, and the really close down didn't occur till Friday. Give it a couple weeks. People are going to be in a desperate state, and we need a better plan than I'm going to shut things down for 30 days, and at 30 days I'll think about it. Now, there are some docs I've talked to, and they have very good ideas. They want to isolate the elderly and the ones with immune systems. 21-year-old soccer coach in Pasadena, healthy soccer coach, right? He died from corona. Oh, but it turns out that 3 years ago he was suffering from leukemia. Leukemia is a blood disease.
So he's already compromised. 659.
Well, they killed his immune system. They totally obliterated his immune system, and now he was rebuilding it. Those are the guys. Corona is nothing but a version of flu. I don't know why we got in this mass hysteria other than, it was impacted by, two things.
Well, I blame. There's media behind this as well, and then there may be some other things that the conspiracy theorists are starting to talk about. Hey, but Mike, I got to run. I got the music playing in the background. Means I got news next. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
I'm back in Guam, so I'm happy.
All right, back in Guam, and yeah, I'm sure that the family is happy to have you home as well. 7 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG. I got you standby. Fox News Live is coming up next. You got the telephone number, right? Don't be shy about using it. 888-8255. Send me your memes at 988-5874. Or just send me interesting pictures of what you're up to. Now, this is kind of interesting because the guy is watching Montecillo Tyron read the news and drinking a light beer. I'm hoping this is from a different time zone than the one we're in right now. Stand by for Fox News.
Now on a coronavirus aid package. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. It's a procedural vote on financial assistance. Senator Lindsey Graham telling Fox,
Failure's not an option. We're going to pass a bill Monday. It's going to help people who've lost their paychecks to get income. It's going to help hospitals who've been overrun with money to get through this, and it's going to help increase medical supplies and stabilize the economy.
The price tag could hit $2 trillion. A final vote expected tomorrow. One senator won't be voting for good reason. He tested positive for the coronavirus.
Kentucky's Senator Rand Paul's Twitter feed revealed the positive test results Sunday, saying he is feeling fine and is currently in quarantine. He becomes the third member of Congress and the first senator to contract the virus. Representatives Mario Diaz-Balart of Florida and Ben McAdams of Utah have also tested positive. The two-part tweet says Paul is showing no apparent symptoms, but got tested in light of his heavy travel and event schedule. The diagnosis comes even after he directed the staff at his D.C. office to work remotely. The tweet indicates the senator is not aware of direct contact with anyone who was infected with the virus. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Senator Paul, one of nearly 27,000 confirmed coronavirus cases in this country. The U.S. now ranking third behind China and Italy, with more than 300 deaths here so far. 2 more states, Ohio and Louisiana, ordering people to stay home. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards calling this a race against time, noting time is running out. America is listening to Fox News.
Day, this is Congressman Nicholas. The federal government is making $7 million in small business disaster loans available for small businesses impacted by the coronavirus. If you would like more information, please contact our office at 671-475-6453 or our local Small Business Administration office at 671-472-7419. You can also email our office at michael.sanicolas@mail.house.gov. God bless you and God bless Guam.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Chili's is committed to the safety and well-being of team members and guests during this stressful time by taking enhanced prevention measures in every part of the restaurant. Chili's understands many guests may be practicing social distancing by not dining out, but still be craving delicious burgers, tacos, and ribs. To satisfy that craving, Chili's is extending a 20% discount on all to-go orders. ChilisGuam.com has an online menu, or you can call 648-7377 to place an order. Chili's will also bring the food to you, curbside service. With Chili's, you can still savor the moment at home.
An Ohio police officer killed in the line of duty.
A Saturday night police chase along I-275 near Cincinnati, Ohio, ended tragically. Sergeant Andrew Davis, a 30-year veteran of the Springdale PD, and Officer Kaya Grant, on the job 8 years, joined in a pursuit that began in another jurisdiction but had crossed over into their territory. At one point, the suspect's vehicle collided with the Springdale police cruiser. Things went from bad to worse.
As a result of the crash, Officer Grant was treated there at the scene, and she was airlifted to the University Hospital where she was pronounced dead.
Springdale Police Chief Thomas Wells, Kaya Grant's the first police officer from that department to die in the line of duty. Her partner was hurt. As for the suspect...
The suspect is in custody. There was a firearm recovered at the scene.
Karen McHugh, Fox News.
The Pentagon reporting a 65% increase in coronavirus cases since Friday, 211. That includes defense contractors and dependents. 7 sailors testing positive today in San Diego. They were serving on 3 or 4 different warships. The first State Department employee also testing positive. Don't try this at home or anywhere else for that matter.
Don't do this. Medical experts calling out a 6-minute viral video clip that says shooting hot air into your sinuses with a blow dryer kills the coronavirus. Doctors saying no, it doesn't work, and it's also downright dangerous. One doctor saying hot air blown up your nose can actually harm normal nasal bacteria. The World Health Organization also saying the COVID-19 virus can survive in hot and humid conditions. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
In Britain, this is Mother's Day, but Prime Minister Boris Johnson urging people not to visit their moms or take them out to lunch because it might kill them. I'm Jane Metzler. This is Fox News.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good. Docomo Pacific wants to keep your business connected. When you sign up for a smart business bundle, you're gaining more than just mobile, internet, and phone services. Receive unbeatable value for your money and the convenience of having it all on one bill. All your business services on the widest and fastest network in Guam and the Marianas. Call 688-2677 for more information on partnering your business. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Subway's got fresh choices for this Lenten season. Sink your teeth into the savory goodness of our shrimp and guacamole spinach wrap. Or go green with our delicious Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty, free of artificial colors and flavors. Don't forget the classics like the tuna or seafood sensation subs, all made with freshly sliced vegetables, prepared daily in every restaurant. Visit any of our convenient locations today. Subway, make it what you want.
Your 7 o'clock news is brought to you by Horizon Properties.
Today, good morning. It's 7:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron with a look at your local news from the Guam Daily Post. A 68-year-old woman has become the island's first death related to COVID-19, and 12 more individuals have been confirmed to have the virus, bringing the total number of confirmed COVID cases to 27. Officials say 153 tests were performed from March 12th through March 22nd with conclusive results. All 26 remaining confirmed cases are in isolation, and more than ever, officials are urging the public to stay home. The 68-year-old woman had not traveled but was exposed to a family member who had recently traveled to Japan. That family member also tested positive with COVID-19. Medical officials did note that the woman did have underlying health conditions. They say she was admitted to the hospital after she came in with fevers and chills and shortness of breath. She passed away yesterday at 1:30 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, officials announced 2 of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 had frequented half-a-day bingo hall in Tamuning. Residents who were at the bingo parlor from March 6th through the 16th are now urged to self-quarantine, and if you have flu-like symptoms, contact the medical triage hotline immediately for screening. Meanwhile, schools and government agencies and Guam businesses remain shut down. Officials have indicated, though, that a complete government shutdown is a possibility. In a press conference yesterday, the governor and her 2 medical advisors, Dr. Mike Cruz and Dr. Jolene Uggan, reiterated a plea for residents to remain at home. Additionally, they are asked to isolate themselves as much as possible from the elderly. Dr. Mike Cruz says 5 of the first 14 cases have had recent travel, most of which is linked to the Philippines. He also says, though, that there is strong evidence that COVID-19 cases have spread throughout our community, affecting residents in the north, central, and southern villages. The governor has activated the Guam National Guard. Beginning today, soldiers and airmen will provide support for the Guam Police Department. The airmen and soldiers from the Guam Air and Guam Army Guard will provide perimeter security needs at the skilled nursing unit and at the 3 quarantine locations. More news after this.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
The governor plans to request a major disaster declaration for Guam. That's according to a letter that she sent to Delegate Mike San Nicolas. Governor Lulian Guerrero, in her letter, says that this is only the first step in accessing the individual assistance programs, such as the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program, as this will require additional justification that the government surely has toward assisting our people. So Nicholas wrote to the governor urging her to make the request, saying such status would unlock federal assistance, such as the Federal Emergency Management Agency and Small Business Administration aid. FEMA has a disaster and employment assistance program that can provide resources to our people who've lost their jobs due to this crisis. The SBA has disaster financing programs that can help businesses stay open to prevent more people from losing their jobs. Both of these disaster programs, he says, need the governor to initiate a disaster declaration for Guam so that the process can begin for the subsequent federal recognition. It's still unclear how much Americans will receive in economic assistance and when they will receive it from the financial aid package Congress is considering. The assistance will be for millions of individuals who've suffered reduction in pay, job loss, and other adverse economic impacts stemming from the COVID pandemic. Well, with the recent decrease in the price of fuel, the Utilities Commission will take a look at dropping power rates in a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities will address the potential decrease in the fuel surcharge. The CCU will need to decide on the surcharge decrease before the Guam Power Authority can petition the Public Utilities Commission for a reduction and potentially have it implemented by April. The level of GPA's potential proposed reduction of the surcharge isn't known. And the Guam Police Department is investigating a fatal crash that occurred early Saturday morning in Talafofo. Around 3:30 a.m., officers from the Southern Precinct responded to a single-car collision near the Rancho Camacho housing area. The driver of the Kia Rio lost control and crashed into a concrete utility pole. He was transported to the Naval Hospital where he was pronounced dead. The case remains open. GPD is investigating whether speed, alcohol, or drugs were factors in that crash. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now's Ray. with your weather.
I've got partly cloudy skies today with isolated light showers. Winds out of the east 10 to 20 miles an hour. Daytime highs 88 degrees. Now, I will say that partly cloudy is about what we had yesterday in terms of the sky time forecast. Winds up from the east up to about 20 miles an hour. Now, I will tell you where that's a bad thing. Anywhere, most places in Tumon, because the sand is so powdery, it will come up. You won't even notice it. It flies up in the air, and it comes and smacks you in the face, and
God
gets in
telling
your
you to
eyes,
go home.
and gets in your eyes, and gets in your beer. And I guess so. I drank crunchy beer yesterday when I was over at the place.
God saying, "Go home, Ray Gibson."
Tonight and tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. There wasn't anybody around me. 200 yards. 200 yards.
He told me that. I said, "Spray them."
Why are they so close? Look at all that beach that you could be using. Why you have to be 200 yards from there?
Younger sister.
There's again partly cloudy skies tomorrow and tonight with a slight chance of light showers. Winds from the east about 15 miles an hour. Overnight lows 75 degrees and highs about 88 degrees. Sunset tonight will be at 6:32. Tell the others. Round them up at 7:13. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
GPSI Guam is a professional technical services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They are SBA approved, 8A, and HubZone certified, providing program and project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, portions of which are brought to you by the guys over at American President Lines, APL, global presence with a local home security title when you absolutely, positively need to know that you actually own the property that you think you just bought. I know it's kind of freaky. Why would something like that happen? Because sometimes people will sell you property and their name's nowhere near the title on the property, and that's what they do over at Security Title. They chuck on that kind of thing. KFC knows how important social distancing is at this time. So as part of their effort to ensure customer safety, they're offering contactless delivery. Riders will arrange with you a drop-off area and will have an envelope to place your payment. You can call 300-3278. That's 300. If you can't remember 3278, just remember 300 FAST for KFC's delivery services.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. My friend Ronnie, and wondering what she's going to be doing today. She says, I watched 3 Filipino movies this morning. I'm enjoying staying at home. It's only 7:15. You've already watched 3 Filipino movies?
And it's time to change into your afternoon pajamas. That is my favorite meme.
That's sweet. Anyway,
9 o'clock in the morning, it's time to change into your daytime pajamas.
If you haven't found it yet, Can't Help Falling in Love. It's got Catherine Bernardo and Daniel Padilla in it, and it is an enjoyable movie. I know because I watched it last night as well. Let's put it back on the thing and see what's going on. Because my tastes haven't changed all that much. 888-8255-888. TALK is the telephone number around here. Portions of the program also brought to you. In fact, portions of Jerry Roberts Says the Extra Point brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services. Yuka has asked me to read this on the radio. As COVID-19 spreads and is now officially a pandemic, our office is taking additional safety measures. Nothing is more important than the safety of our customers and employees. The scale of the impact is unknown, and we want to do our part to protect our island and our people. We are continuing to service your needs, and we're here for your online and by phone. However, the office location is temporarily closed. Please call 475-1162 for immediate assistance, or you can contact each department through email. And everything is at Guahan IS, GUAHANIS CSR. It's like customer service. There's UW. There's claims. That's the one everybody's going to be going for. Claims, GuahanIS.com. For payments or any other accounting matters, send an email to accounting@GuahanIS.com. Thanks for your understanding, cooperation as we get through all of this together. And that is an important point that we are going to be making, is that, yeah, we are all in this together. 888-825-588-TALK. And I've got Margaret Hattori on the line from the University of Guam, from the hospital. Good morning, Margaret.
Oh, hey, Ray. It's great to hear your voice.
Well, it's great to be on the radio with you. What's going on?
Well, I just really wanted to. I know we're starting the day off rough with the increase in the COVID cases.
Yeah, and a fatality, sure.
Yeah, but I just really, appreciate any help from the media and getting the word out to really urge people that don't have to work to stay home, and the seriousness of what's going on. I think a lot of people are still not taking it seriously. I'm still seeing people. I mean, just the other day there were people at a pool having a party. So I don't really understand why people are not using their common sense. So any help from the media to just get the word out, to have people stay home would really help the healthcare providers that are putting their lives at risk, to really combat this threat.
We have seen the meme that is spreading now. I think every clinic, and I know the people over at Guam Memorial Hospital have kind of got all the lab coats and the scrubs together with signs that say, "We are here at work. Please stay home." Something along those lines. We're here for you if you need us, but otherwise stay at home so you don't add any additional pressure on the system. So we'll continue to say that. I mean, there are folks that will still want to get out. I went out yesterday because I needed some beach time, so I went to the beach, but there was social distancing. I mean, there was nobody around me for 100 yards in this direction, 100 yards in that direction. Anybody that walked by that knew me, we kind of wave at each other from afar and ask how everything is going. But as far as I'm concerned,
that's perfect, Ray.
Yeah. So I mean, go out and try to continue to live some semblance of a life, but remember that there is social distancing going on. One of the things that we were talking about earlier, Mana and I, and I hate to judge, but somebody needs to come out and say it. You're quarantined. I know you're crazy about being cooped up, so everybody's going outside at night and sitting in the garage and sitting around a cooler, got a guitar playing, and nobody's practicing social distancing. We're all still together in the same place, and it might be okay if you're young and indestructible, but there's grandma coming in and out of the house, and mom and dad are coming out and doing that kind of thing. We need to shield, especially our seniors, from the younger folks that are still going to pool parties and things like that.
Oh yeah, Ray, that's just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, because they are affecting the seniors, and not just the seniors. I mean, you've seen a lot of what the CDC has said, and I really wish people would read the CDC website, because they really do have a lot of information on how to home quarantine, and it's very clear what you should and shouldn't do. But it even says things that I know are against our culture. But if you, like, I have, my mom's not, she's going to be 80. I don't bring my daughter to come and see her, and I know it goes against our culture. But the more we expose our elderly, and not just the elderly, people with diabetes, people with kidney failure, people with heart disease, and Ray, how many of us have family members like that?
I think you've just you've just mentioned a litany of diseases that everybody can reach to one or two people in their family that have every single one of those.
Patients, cancer survivors. So this is not the time for that family togetherness at all. I mean, you can FaceTime. I mean, I know there are seniors out there that are separated from their families because people are trying to shelter in place. But, phone call them, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever, WhatsApp, video call, whatever you can do to maintain that piece of connectedness, right, is important. But physically, that's where we need to
It's like they're in the States. Just pretend they're in the States. They might be down the street, might be in the next room, but just pretend they're in the States and do it like you would normally do it if you were, talking to mom and dad off in the retirement home. 7:20 in the morning. How are things going? I mean, obviously things shut down over at the University of Guam. Tell me what's going on with some of your students. Have they been otherwise sworn in, as deputized, if you will, to go and help?
Well, that's a great question. And we've known for weeks that this was coming, and all our faculty are activated, as well as all the GDOE nurses, and they're doing great. Every nurse that can be is working, and I've got retired nurses that came out and are helping at the health hotline, the call center.
Cool.
So it's important that any healthcare worker, and we're still looking for nurses that. Even nurses that have a license from another country, they can call the Guam Board of Nurse Examiners if they want to help in any way. We could really use that manpower and the brain power. So we don't have our students out because safety issues, but we do have our seniors. The harsh reality is, if I don't get those seniors graduated, that's 23, 24 fewer nurses for this island, and we need everybody. I do have, almost 100 total if you count the juniors and the seniors. I mean the sophomores. So we do have one of our faculty that's tasked with just figuring out how the heck we can make sure our seniors are graduated appropriately so that we can keep producing a supply of nurses. So the seniors are actually helping in the call centers. Those that are already licensed as practical nurses, some of them have already been activated and are working at the airport.
Awesome.
The public health nurses have been working on this before the state of emergency. The GMH nurses were stretched thin before the state of emergency, and so was GRMC. So I just really urge people, to, think of all of these people that are out there, working every day. They can't stay home. We're worried about our families too. And so, anything the public can do in any little way to help combat the virus spreading is critically
Stay
important
home.
now. We can't keep putting our head in the sand and thinking, oh, we're strong, none of us are going to die. I mean, not to be still blunt, Ray, but and the myth that the young aren't going to get it. Well, even if the young don't get it, but they're carriers, they're spreading it to other people that are ill.
That's why we shut the schools down.
Yep, exactly. So we got to keep everybody safe.
We'll
really
continue to do our part here, Margaret. I promise. In fact, yesterday I was thinking about something fun for the staff because we all haven't seen each other in about 10 days anyway. But we went into our isolation mode just a few days ago here at the radio station, and the only way we communicate with each other now is via WhatsApp. So on WhatsApp yesterday, I offered a $50 76 Circle K gift card to one member of the staff from anywhere in the organization. The salespeople and the marketing people and the on-air guys and the engineers and whatever. I said, listen, you come up with some clever PSAs that we can run to remind people about washing their hands and social isolation, things like that. And we'll have a quick contest, and we'll make our own PSAs and then start giving away prizes for the best ones. And we'll make sure that yours is among them. Social distancing, isolation is going to be the key to leveling this thing out. Margaret, thanks for the call.
Oh, thanks, Ray. And last thing, Ray, on the JIC announcements at the bottom, it has the reputable websites.
Yeah.
It would really help if people were looking at those websites because I think it would help calm, some anxieties. And, of course, the call centers are open, and there's new numbers out for counseling to help with the anxiety and the fear, which is real. There are counseling numbers that are different than the health numbers.
I'll check on those this morning. Yeah. We generally talk about some of the things that are enclosed in there. And you're right. Is try to stay. Don't get your information from social media unless it's actually from the governor's office. And also be careful about spoofing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that got some bad information last week because somebody spoofed the website or a story that came from one of the legitimate news sources. So watch out for those kinds of things and double check. 725, Margaret Hattori. Wait a second. I want to make sure I get the name right. Margaret Hattori Uchima. There's a dash in there. We like to make sure that we're complete here. Call anytime. You're always welcome.
All right. Thank you, Ray. Wash your hands.
I'm washing my hands. Don't touch my face. All of that stuff. The nurse, she wants to get it all out in one telephone call. There's and Sam had forwarded this to me today on Guam. I saw or heard about birthday parties happening, people congregating in public spaces, people exercising together on the roadways, beach parties, trucks with boom boom speakers cruising around, cars on the highway. Here is my very direct message: when the governor extends this quarantine because the cases keep coming, don't complain. You are helping create this problem. I've asked you to use your heads, listen to the public announcements and recommendations. You're endangering yourself and the public. And selfishly, you're keeping our healthcare workers, police officers, firefighters, and all essential workers constantly in harm's way. We took our jobs to serve the community, and now we ask the same community to honor that service by helping us flatten the curve. So keep all unnecessary travel to an absolute minimum, and keep your distance between you and other people. That will help, as they say, flatten that curve. 7:26 in the morning. Jerry Roberts in the studio. Good morning, Jerry. How was your weekend?
Quiet.
I bet.
It was exactly what I said it was going to be.
I'll bet, yeah. Woke up Saturday morning and just kind of looking around the house for all kinds of projects. I've got to say, though, that, everybody's got kind of that honey-do list, that project list. Well, I have a bunch of projects that I've been meaning to get to, and so I've been putting little check marks on against some of these, and one of them was I got this old subwoofer, and once upon a time a dog or a rabbit or something ate through the power cord, and it's been looking at me since then, going, "When are you going to change the power cord? When are you going to?" It's not hard. It doesn't require an engineering degree, just a new piece of cable and some soldering tools, and that's all you need. But it's one of those. I got to unscrew. I got to go get this. I got to lay all the parts out. So finally got a chance to do that yesterday, and was delighted with the results. My boom boom. I've got boom boom back in the house.
There you go.
I've got the subwoofer is kicking in the house. The neighbors are hollering, "Me, turn that down! How much more disco music can anybody play? For heaven's sakes, it's 7 o'clock." But here's the problem. It's done. I finished. The project's over.
Next,
I've got to figure out what I'm
going to find something else to do.
Yeah.
Well, we just spent family time.
Did you?
Time, a little private worship time, and a lot of time with our son, my wife and I. And
did you play any games? Nothing. Okay.
Games.
No. Okay. So I hesitate to ask this question because you are the finickiest eater next to me. But did you order
whatever's put in front of me?
Okay. Very.
As long as
I'll check your wife on that one. So what did you order? Where have you been? What did you order? Have you ordered any takeaway?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
We've not.
Oh, you just eaten whatever's in the house? Yeah. Okay, Mana, any to-go orders?
We went to Wendy's.
Get to Wendy's?
Salad at Wendy's.
Real
yeah.
Joe, what's your to-go?
Capriccioso last night. What?
Oh, listen to this guy.
Well, I'm still working, so
I see you. Yes, you still have that job.
Right. See you at the yacht club.
Actually, which Capriccioso did you go to? Did you go to the one in Tumon, or did you go to the Agagna?
The Hagåtña one.
The Hagåtña location of Capriccioso. But there it is to go, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Even curbside. I didn't want to go in there.
We actually had some takeout from Heavenly Veggies, which is what we do.
So I did Jamaican Grill. On Friday night.
Sweet.
Yes. Oh my God.
Did they give you any freebies?
Yes. Yeah, they did.
You know what? We had Jamaican Girl over the weekend too.
But apparently,
it was just the pickup.
I thought it was just. I thought the guy was just being nice to me, right? But it turns out it's like everybody I've mentioned it to says, "Hey, I got a chocolate cake." I'm like, "Yeah, I got one too." They must have made a zillion chocolate cakes over at Jamaican Grill because everybody's reporting the same thing, and I think that's fantastic. I'm definitely going to go back again.
Chocolate cake.
Definitely, I did not eat the chocolate cake for breakfast on Saturday morning. It's 7:29 in the morning. All right, well, tell you what, we've got the extra point, and we already talked about Yuka and the things that they're doing over at Guahan Insurance Services. They're trying to keep things to an absolute minimum. Go online and see what you can get away with in terms of who you got to talk to and all of that. Or get to me, and I'll give you the emails for the different departments if you're trying to communicate with Guahan Insurance Services. We'll check on the markets in a couple of minutes and get into some headlines. But first, Jerry Roberts and the Extra Point, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
A week into the COVID-19 situation, and there's a lot to process to try to understand this virus, as well as the best way to protect our families. Today, what we've learned the past week can help us as we move forward. That's next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
One of the key elements of fear is not knowing what you're up against. Learning about this virus, how it's acquired, what it does, the odds of avoiding it, the odds of beating it if you get it, how best to protect yourself and your loved ones is not hard. There is a mammoth amount of information churned out every day on the coronavirus. The hard part is navigating all of it to find what you want and need to know. Spend the time to learn as much as you can. The tendency is to focus on the news and get caught up in the raw numbers, especially now with new cases skyrocketing in the mainland U.S. and, of course, here in Guam. I was glued to those numbers for a long time, saw the projections, and knew there were rough days ahead. On Friday, I put aside the statistics and began to dig for things I can control. Things I can control. I'm sorry for the misery and suffering both here and elsewhere, but the only way I can influence COVID-19 is to do what I can to help myself, my family, and others not to catch it. I went to CNN, read articles, and watched videos from infectious disease experts online, and picked up their tips for how to tip the odds in our favor. There were specifics about how to conduct yourself on the job and when you need to go shopping. Then I saw a quote from Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who comments regularly in the media, and it was powerful. He said this: act like you already have the virus. If you knew you had it, how would that change how you do things? What Gupta was getting at is if you had the virus, wouldn't you stay home and limit contact? It's the best weapon we have against this menace. Is it hard? Are you tired of Netflix already? Are the kids going stir crazy and begging for you to let them go visit their friends? Start to develop daily habits that will help you get through these difficult days, weeks, and months ahead. Set up calls with coworkers to see how they're doing, as well as family and friends, both here and living elsewhere. This will help maintain high spirits and a positive outlook. Attitude counts when you're leading a team, whether that be a work team or the one at home. If you're a parent, your kids are going to get their cue from you on how to respond to this challenge. Let me say that I'm grateful for the workers in the stores who are doing their jobs to provide us with what we need and in their positive attitude. It's great to see shelves restocked daily, letting us know there's no need for panic buying. Some items are not available, but one day they will be again. A reminder that we mentioned this on Friday. Guam Training invites you to go to John Maxwell's Facebook page and for the next 3 days to view his series, Leading Through Crisis. Every manager, supervisor, and team leader should take advantage of it. Go to facebook.com, John C. Maxwell. That's facebook.com/John C. Maxwell. There's no cost. I believe it's up there and ready for you right now. Enjoy it and use the information. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Sure do like that line. Act like you've already got it. There's a business analogy on that one as well. Isn't it? It's all, act like you are already at the top of your field.
Act like you've been there.
Yeah. It's one of those things. That's all the time we got for Jerry Roberts in today's Extra Points. Good news if you've got kids that are going to be missing school meals because there ain't no school right now. They've got all of the things that they needed to get checked off on over the weekend with the federal government, which means the grab-and-go plan is on for today. I've got details for you coming up. News now being brought to you by Auntie Lolita Kemet of Remax Diamond Realty for your real estate needs. Like, I need to rent another place so I can live here and the kids can live in the other place and get the loud, noisy complainers out from here. She can help you with that. 688-6743. Also being brought to you by GPSI Guam. Call 477-3058. Find out how GPSI Guam can assist you today. It's 7:34 now with news from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Montesilva Tyron.
Well, there's strong evidence that COVID-19 cases have spread throughout our community, and people are urged to stay home. Dr. Mike Cruz, the governor's medical advisor, indicates the virus has affected residents in northern, central, and southern villages. Meanwhile, a 68-year-old woman has become the island's first death related to COVID-19, and 12 more individuals confirmed to have had the virus, bringing the total number of confirmed cases on Guam to 27. The 26 remaining cases are still in isolation. And 2 of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 had frequented the Hafaday Bingo Hall in Tamuning. Residents who've been there between March 6th through the 16th, you're urged to self-quarantine. If you have flu-like symptoms, please check in with the medical triage hotline immediately for screening. And the governor's activated the National Guard to provide support for the Guam Police Department. The airmen and the soldiers from the Guam Air and Army Guard will provide perimeter security at the skilled nursing unit and at the 3 quarantine locations. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can log on to the website at postguam.com.
It's 7:35 in the morning, and that is iConnect. Call them up later on at 8 a.m. And when I say later on, I mean after the governor reopens the doors to the businesses. They're not essential, so it might be tricky to get a hold of them today, but I think we've got people answering the phones to answer all of your questions. 888-8888.
Lolita Kemet from Remax Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate Remax professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Kemet from Remax Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Portions of the program being brought to you by the guys over at Nanbo Insurance. And what do they got lined up for you? They might still be talking about, saving some money on those hybrid automobiles. Do you have one of those? Have you thought about getting one? Well, here, let me make the decision easier for you. Nanbo Insurance will pay up to $350 towards your next power bill. It's a hybrid car. You got to plug it in sometime, right? Check them out at 477-9754 for more details. Portions of the program also brought to you by Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs, and the team over at Mezcla Bistro. Now, the news that I got was that all of the Mezclas are closed except one. There it is. All Mezcla locations will be closed, TFN. However, Mezcla Dos across Kmart will be accepting takeouts only. The number is 646-6295, or visit the website at mezclados.com if you'd like to get information on what they've got. Now, Mana says that the Mezcla Dos does not have the Tinetla, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, well,
oh my gosh, it's a travesty.
It's an outrage. We'll see what we can do about getting the Tinetla sent over, because I know they're still making it, right?
We definitely the Tinala and the Denancy.
Joe, 646-6295. Give them. I'm serious.
I
now.
know they sell them in the large jars.
By
so if you can
special
tell me
request by Mana Silva, former Senator Mana Silva is making a special request that if Mezcla Dos to make sure that the Tinatla Cutney and the Denancy is on the menu there.
Okay, sir.
All right, and it probably already is. We just don't know for sure. We'll try to find out. Since all of this other stuff about coronavirus, where the victims are, what bingo place they were talking about, nobody cares about that. What we care about is Tinatla Cutney over at Mezcla Dos. It's 7:38. Be right back.
Hofady, this is Kayla from APL Guam. Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated team in Guam and the U.S. mainland are here to support you. Call 588-4651 or visit apl.com.
7:38 in the morning, and time for Right Now traffic. And after hearing from for the very impassioned Margaret Hattori Muchi, what's the last name, Mana?
Hattori.
Okay. After hearing the impassioned plea, there's not a whole lot by way of traffic here. There's just people are definitely staying home. Not much by way of work to go to, not much by way of school or government of Guam to go to. So enjoy the family time. By now, I think most people are kind of used to the routine. It's like Mana says, a little bit later on, we'll take off our morning pajamas and put our afternoon pajamas on. 20 away from the top of the hour. As I said, I'd love to be able to go from intersection to intersection and tell you where some of the damage is, but there just isn't any. Right Now traffic brought to you by the Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow.
Thanks to Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, people are discovering some of the lowest mortgage rates in years, right on their smartphones.
Rates are in the 3s?
And with Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, you can apply online, even for a VA loan, or sit down with one of our mortgage experts.
We should apply now.
Check rates and apply online today with Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii. Visit BOH.com/mortgage. Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow. Equal housing lender.
I want to say that what's on the screen now is a meme that was sent to me. I think I found that going through some of Mana's pictures a little bit earlier, right? It's what everybody's school pictures are going to look like next year, because we ain't going. The barbershops are closed. You don't realize
they are.
This is a calamity, isn't it?
That's how I looked when I was a kid.
I was gonna
my
say,
mom gave me my haircut.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go on YouTube and do my own haircut. I was going to do it today as a...
Oh, happy birthday, Phil. Happy birthday, Phil. This is what you're getting for your birthday. My Niao's birthday is today, so that's going to be his birthday present. He's going to get Mana's going to cut your hair.
I offered to cut his hair, too, because, he likes it... what do you call
he
it?
likes it high and tight. High and tight. He wears it high and tight, but I mean,
But he won't let me get near him with those clippers. Come on.
Yeah,
let me do
I'm,
it. I've done it.
I'm pretty much the same way. I don't want anybody getting anywhere near my head. Oh, come on. I've done it for my other friends. No, keep doing it for your other friends. Never mind me. 7:41 in the morning, 888-825-5880-TALK. There's another meme that I wanted to put up here this morning, and with apologies, or not. I suppose I'm sharing it. This is from Cousin Troy. One of the things that Dr. Mike Cruz said in a press statement over the week should get your attention. We're all talking about, and Margaret Dettori mentioned it as well. You're young and you think you're bulletproof, and you've got nothing but the future in front of you, and you're indestructible. And I'm not going to get coronavirus, and even if I did, it's not going to kill me. You know what? Be careful. Mark your words. There are going to be people that may be compromised that don't know it. So there's at least one case, Dr. Cruz said, in their 20s. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
There's a couple of cases of people in their 30s where you and I are. There's a couple of people in their 40s, like 3 people in their 40s that have it. There are 4 people in their 50s. Now, this is based on when we only had about 15 cases. So I don't know what the new demographics are based on. Where are we now? 27? 27 cases identified but I don't know what the age range are now that we've got that 27. Put that down in the list of
I
things
think it's in the post. Let me double check that.
that people want to know, because I haven't seen the latest on the demographics.
But you know, when you go home and you've already been exposed to the people in your house. So there's 5 of us living at our place.
Okay.
We've already been exposed to each other. So it's kind of hard to resist that closeness.
Well, you're living in the same house.
Yeah, because we've already been exposed. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Even though we've been engaging over the last couple of weeks or longer, are we supposed to go into that 6 feet apart?
My guess, okay, guessing here. It's the same concept as you and I working in the same studio here. Number one, we're related. This is, if we weren't related, chances are likely that I'd have you set up in another studio someplace else. But to protect each other. But we're family. We're gonna get it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if we've got a cold, something like that, it's going to get spread around between you and I and everybody else. So I think there's an understanding that something like that is going to happen. But we're not in a target age group where this is going to be a problem. I don't have any comorbidities. I'm perfectly healthy according to the 3 physicals that I had last year. You're healthy. You go out and run and you eat fairly clean, and so I don't anticipate us being targets for this. And even if it were, I think it would end up being mild for us. Again, if we weren't related, or if you were somebody that had other complications, that studio over there would be where you get to work every day. 7:44, and so I think that's the way it is in the house. So Cousin Troy put this up on the Candid site. Of the 15 known cases of COVID-19, 40% are in their 20s and 40s, which is why he says everybody needs to be staying home and minding when you do get together. Make sure that you are maintaining some kind of social distance with people that are coming and going, I suppose, in the house. Maybe that's the other way that you look at it. This unit here, this family unit, it's if we got it, we got it. But when we've got people that are coming to the house, neighbors or friends that are coming by the house, that's when you really got to observe that social distancing, because you don't know what they're bringing into the house, and they don't know what they're taking away from the house.
And even other family members who are, going out and about, and you don't know where they've been or who they've been exposed to. They come over and visit just because, they want you to see the grandkids or something. You don't know what they're bringing in or where they've touched.
Well, if they're coming in to see the grandma and grandpa, then that's a mistake to begin with, because they're older and they're automatically compromised. As I said, they finally were able to get together. And I think the President of the United States has been working very, very quickly through executive order, just ripping up as much red tape as possible. And my understanding was that the White House recognized that there was a need for federal regulations to be bypassed when it came to different parts of the operations, i.e., what we're feeding our kids in school, and there were certain permissions that John Fernandez had been asking of the federal government. He doesn't need to do that anymore. The president has spoken, and whatever those restrictions were, they have been lifted. So they are able to very quickly mobilize the grab and go for school meals. They will be available at the following school sites. Let me get through some of this. It's not the first time I've seen it, but let me just read the whole thing so that you know what is going to be expected of you and the kids. The Guam Department of Education is providing school meals at no cost for children 18 and below, to include both public and private school children, beginning Monday, March the 23rd. That's today at 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. except holidays and spring break from April the 6th through April the 10th. Please stay in your vehicles and follow safety instructions when you are picking up your meals. You will be able to pick up your grab-and-go meals at the Agana Heights Elementary School. Again, from 11 until 1, stay in the car. Somebody will bring it to you. At Agana Heights Elementary, Astumbo Elementary, BP Carbolito, FB Leon Guerrero, George Washington High School, Inarahan Elementary School, MU Lujan, John F. Kennedy High School here in Central, Jose Leon Guerrero Rios Middle School, Jose Rios Middle School, Southern High, and Weddingale Elementary. I'll read that again because I know what happened is you heard something about your village or your kid, and you go, what did he say? Quiet, everybody. Ray Gibson's talking. Grab-and-go meals available from 11 until 1 at the following locations for all Guam students, public and private, at Agana Heights Elementary, Astumbo Elementary, BP Carbolito Elementary, FBLG, George Washington, Inarahan Elementary, MU Lujan Elementary, JFK, Jose Rios, Southern High School, and Weddingale Elementary School. Stay in your car. Somebody will bring you the chow. I don't know what they're going to do by way of verifying that somebody is 18 or below. All of those things, we'll let them work that out as they roll this program out. Today is going to be day number 1 on all of this. But I think it's a fantastic thing that they were able to do. Just last week, we were talking to John Fernandez about some of the lingering problems that they've got in the Department of Education. This certainly is one of them. The other is what to do about graduating students. What are we going to do about seniors in high school that are looking at graduating? Because I don't see this thing being done by the end of at least spring break. I got a feeling that this is going to be lingering for a while. 7:47, 7:48 in the morning, and I've got a couple of reasons why I'm reaching out to this guy, Senator Tony Atta, former Senator Tony Atta, the national chairman of the Republican Party here on Guam, and because I want to know a couple of things about the federal relief efforts, number one. And number two, unfortunately, good morning, Tony, we've unfortunately lost one of the coronavirus victims here, and my understanding is that this is going to be treated completely different than any other kind of funeral ever in the history of funeral arrangements on Guam. What can you tell me? What do you know about it?
Well, good morning, Ray. It's just, and you're right. I'm even lost for words that how it has changed. It's unfortunate that we lost someone to COVID. And the process is totally different than a regular funeral. You're not able to have your family there with you. You know, it's.
Well, I understand that they're also suggest somebody maybe I read it on Candid, but this is one of those things where if family's called, we can only do a viewing for an hour, and then the burial has to take place in a much more rapid fashion than we've. I mean, we're used to 9-day rosary, and then we have the burial and all of that. But in this case, my understanding is that they're going to have to go much faster on this, maybe as short as 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, so the process has to take place within the 24-hour period. Wow. After death, and there's absolutely no viewing whatsoever. So it's cremation or burial, immediate burial.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this because of the
COVID, or is this just new procedures for everybody?
No, it's just because of the COVID, and I think that once we get over this pandemic, hopefully that we go back to our traditional ways of prayer and viewing and those things. But yeah, it's painful. It really is painful.
Yeah, another way that this disease is certainly shaking up the community. Former Senator Tony Atta on, as I said, chairman of the Republican Party here on Guam, and I know that you are working very, very hard with National Committee man Juan Carlos Benitez, who unfortunately is in a meeting right now. Otherwise, he'd be joining us in this call. But I'm curious about certain. There are steps being taken in Washington D.C. As I said, even with regard to the school meals for kids, the president has stepped in, used executive authority to to cut all kinds of red tape, and I anticipate there's going to be more of that kind of thing happening, number one. Number two, there's also working with Congress, both the House and the Senate, to be able to move through some legislation that will be able to provide relief for businesses and the people that work in these businesses. You and Juan were in the studio on Friday, but if you could give me an update on what you've learned since we've last talked, and what we anticipate news-wise today out of Washington, D.C.
Well, we're hoping that we hear something by, it should be tonight our time, because they should be, I believe, voting on it on Monday their time. And once we hear what has passed and all the amendments or any amendments that's going through, hopefully all that red tape has been cut and relief starts coming out to our people here on the island.
With regard to the immediate one here that everybody seems to be talking about is the $1,000 per head and the $500 for each child. How is that going to be doled out here in the fringes of democracy, out here in the possessions, if you will?
You know, I think what's going to have to happen there is that it probably go through Revenue Tax to find out who our local filers are, to get a gauge on that. They might go through that process, or give Revenue Tax the funding to give out. So because, you know, the filers are with our local filing here.
Yeah.
We just mirror the tax code. So the process, I'm still not sure.
Yeah, what's the link between me and Treasury, I guess, is the question that I'm looking for.
Right,
and we still don't have an answer on that.
Yeah, I think it's by our filings, our local tax filings. So if you're a joint filer, and I believe it was $1,200 now, right, that they're looking at.
Yep. So
if you're a joint filer, then you'll be $2,400, and if you're a single filer, you'll be $1,200, and then any child is additional $500. So, and the only way they'll be able to get that information is through the filings that we've done with local Revenue Tax.
All right, so important that if you don't have a relationship with Daphne and the Department of Revenue and Taxation right now, it might be very, very important for you to create such a thing down the road. Of course, there's all kinds of systems that they're already putting in place for businesses now. I see over the weekend that an article in the Daily Post with Regine Biscoli in it, touting a plan they've got at the Department of Labor here, the Rapid Response at dol.guam.gov, where they're going to be giving low-interest, long-term loans for businesses that are having a hard time. You can use this to pay off. You can use this for capital. You can use it for all kinds of other expenses. Taking care of payroll and benefits for your people over the long term.
Yeah, I think that's what the SBA would be, the long-term low-interest loan, and I think it's less than 2-3%, something around there. So, yeah, anytime you can take advantage of a low-interest loan, and it can help the company and help your people, reach out and take these opportunities to get these assistance that's given to us.
Now, I know that the Republican Party is working very, very closely with our Democratic congressman in Washington, D.C., Mike St. Nicholas. We hope to hear from him before too much longer and get an update on what he has been working on in the last 48 hours. At some point this morning, we're going to reach out to him. But are you also likewise working with your counterparts in the majority over at the legislature? Have you been able to make any kind of inroads on some of the things that the Republicans and the business community are looking at with regard to business privilege taxes, holidays, perhaps on payrolls and payroll taxes and things like that?
Well, the Republican caucus in the legislature has been really moving forward and trying to get issues passed in the legislature. And I think our legislature needs to come out and start being more active. I understand with the separations and the stay at home by the executive order, but where our people are under this dire need and looking for leadership, and that's what needs to be done, is that they need to come out and start showing leadership so that we can have our island be moving locally and not just waiting on the federal government. And I believe our minority caucus, the Republican minority caucus, has a lot of bills in the hopper.
Yep.
And I believe they do have one coming out again. So we need to have these bills entertained so that we can turn around and start getting out locally immediate relief.
The Speaker's office had sent out to media in the last 24 hours a number of measures and a number of bills that have been introduced that I think they want to get to work on. I think all they got to work on now is moving through the Rules Committee to determine if they can have virtual get-togethers, virtual hearings on some of these bills, or virtual sessions on these measures, so that they can move forward with them. And then, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and then get out of the way and let the government and the healthcare professionals ride the rest of this coronavirus. Do everything that you can right now, and then might as well go ahead and adjourn sine die until it's time to get back to work.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's what needs to be done. They need to come out and start addressing the issues, because if we're just going to wait on the federal government, we need to do something locally for our people. We need to start. We should have started actually weeks ago. So. Hopefully
there's you know how I feel about that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, and it doesn't make any difference now. We've got opportunities that we've got in front of us to be able to get together and determine what is going to be best for the people of Guam. As I said, we've got issues where we need as many people as possible to hold on to as much money as possible. So if we can roll the BPT back, call it temporary if you want to, roll it back, eliminate the liquid fuels tax for a couple of months. And allow people to put more gasoline in their car, or at least leave the gas station with some more money that they can use to go and buy food and some of the things that they need in the house, with everybody home. So all of that can happen now, and no reason why we can't get to work at the legislature and do it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what we spoke about last week, Ray, about those immediate reliefs, and that let's just hope that they start moving and getting these things out.
Okay. Well, you working on your end, and I'll work on it on my end. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Definitely. I'm working with the Republican caucus right now, so hopefully we'll be able to get things moving locally.
At 7:57 in the morning. Thank you very much, former Senator Tony Atta from the Republican Party of Guam. 888-825-5888-TALK. And let me see what folks are talking about here on the Facebook Live and on the onlines. I got Alfredo Mendoza. Good morning, Christina Nicole. Trish Cruz. Ava TC's in charge. Everything's going to be okay. Elaine McGee watching the program from the States. Lady D saying, Kenny Rogers passed away over the weekend. Yeah, we saw that. Got to know when to hold him, got to know when to fold him. Might be one of the songs that he is most well known for. An incredible talent, and we're sad to see him go. The rule is threes, so it's Kenny Rogers. Who else? Who are the other two that are going to be going to that great stage in the sky? Kim Aiken is online. I'm not saying his name because he's going next, but I'm just saying he's online. My cousin Mitchell Prashado is watching the program from the States. Hey, cuz, nice to see you. Eric Rosario. I got Ron Canolis. Ron, now, can I tell you what my adventures was? I got enough time, right? I got a couple of minutes before the top of the hour. So it was Friday morning, 10 o'clock. And what did I say I was going to do at Friday morning at 10?
Party out.
I said I was going to go to Pirates Cove, and I was going to order the last dine-in cheeseburger, and I was going to order the last drinkable beer from an actual functioning bar.
And you had Jeff massaging your shoulders while you were eating too.
No. You know what he was doing? Because he saw that I came in without a
bandana.
Yeah, so he gave me a bandana. So that's what I used instead of a face mask. Was a Pirates Cove bandana, and it was awesome. So I wanted to time it, so I was taking my last bite and taking my last swig at 11:59:59, and that's what I did. But to kill time, he took me around the area. Like, I didn't realize just how big an area that he's got over there. And I think they will still do business. They'll still give you a burger and let you go out towards the beach, which is public property, and then you can. It's just like dining in, except you're on the beach on the public part and enjoy that. So that's what I did on my Friday morning. It was my bout at a little bit of civil disobedience to say, oh, you're going to put this on me at noon. At 11:59:59, I'm still going to be living it up.
Scofflaw.
I'm a scofflaw-ish, but I still left at noon. It's not like I stuck around, waiting for Lulian Guerrero to come and arrest me. Hey, you know what? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG Haggadah. 93.3 is the point. Montecillo Tyron's got news coming up for you. I did not go through any of the numbers from the markets over the weekend and where oil and Bitcoin and things like that are. So we'll do that in the next hour, where we would normally be talking about March Madness, which is now March Sadness. This is the point.
House Democrats have reservations, but the Senate's about to vote on a coronavirus aid package. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. It's a procedural vote, the first step to move that package forward. Some of the details, though, still to be determined.
The top four congressional leaders met with the Treasury Secretary on a bill expected to near $2 trillion in financial relief for families, small businesses, and large corporations. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says it's fast approaching time for lawmakers to say yes or no.
And I'm confident, given the desire of the country to see an outcome, that we'll get the yes.
But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says there's still no deal and told reporters House Democrats could draft their own legislation with the goal of bipartisan agreement. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Not voting, Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul, who tested positive for coronavirus, says he's not showing any symptoms but remains under quarantine. Also under quarantine and not voting, Utah Republican Mike Lee, because he's been in close contact with Senator Paul. Nearly 27,000 confirmed coronavirus cases in this country and more than 300 deaths so far. Every state affected. The numbers out of New York, alarming. 4,800 new cases, more than 15,000 in the state so far. More than 100 people have died. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio blaming the federal government.
When it comes to the decisions of government and the actions of government, really doing something tangible, we're seeing a lot of help from the state of New York and very little in the way of evidence that the federal government understands that our nation's largest city is in the crosshairs and that the federal government is going to actually do something about it.
America is listening to Fox News.
Docomo Pacific wants to keep your business connected. When you sign up for a smart business bundle, you're gaining more than just mobile, internet, and phone services. Receive unbeatable value for your money and the convenience of having it all on one bill. All your business services on the widest and fastest network in Guam and the Marianas. Call 688-2677 for more information on partnering your business. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Chili's is committed to the safety and well-being of team members and guests during this stressful time by taking enhanced prevention measures in every part of the restaurant. Chili's understands many guests may be practicing social distancing by not dining out, but still be craving delicious burgers, tacos, and ribs. To satisfy that craving, Chili's is extending a 20% discount on all to-go orders. ChilisGuam.com has an online menu, or you can call 648-7377 to place an order. Chili's will also bring the food to you curbside service. With Chili's, you can still savor the moment at home.
President Trump has said it shows promise, combining two drugs to treat the coronavirus. One of those drugs for malaria. Former CDC Director Dr. Thomas Frieden addressing that today on Fox News Sunday.
Absolutely. I think we should urgently figure out whether chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin have an impact on the outcomes of disease. We have three goals here. Reduce the number of infections, improve the outcomes in people who have infection, and reduce the societal and economic harms of this pandemic.
If you're without health insurance during this pandemic and missed the deadline to enroll, some states stepping in to help.
Massachusetts, New York, Colorado, Connecticut, among the states reopening their health exchanges to help the uninsured seek medical help as the coronavirus outbreak continues. Usually people who buy their own insurance have to do so during open enrollment periods, which are typically in the fall. Well, the states have reopened them now and loosened the ACA requirements, and were able to do so because they run their own exchanges. An estimated 28 million people are uninsured in the United States. People who enroll in the states now opening these marketplaces can get coverage as early as April 1st. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, the current Democratic frontrunner, issuing a statement criticizing President Trump's handling of the coronavirus crisis, saying the president neglected the warning of healthcare and intelligence professionals and minimized and lied about the threat. Senator Bernie Sanders, meantime, is raising money. Not campaign cash, more than 50,000 Sanders supporters contributing more than $2 million to coronavirus relief efforts. The money going to emergency funds and organizations like Meals on Wheels. I'm Jane Metzler, and this is Fox News.
Hafaday, this is Congressman Nicholas. The federal government is making $7 million in small business disaster loans available for small businesses impacted by the coronavirus. If you would like more information, please contact our office at 671-475-6453 or our local Small Business Administration office at 671-472-7419. You can also email our office at michael.sanicolas@mail.house.gov. God bless you and God bless Guam.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans, carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Well, today it's 8:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron with a look at your local news from the Guam Daily Post. The island has recorded its first death related to COVID-19, and 12 more individuals have been confirmed to have the virus, bringing the total number of confirmed cases on Guam to 27. Officials say 153 tests have been performed from March 12th through the 22nd with conclusive results. All 26 remaining confirmed cases are in isolation. And more than ever, officials are urging members of the community to stay home. The 68-year-old woman who had passed away had not traveled, but was exposed to a family member who had recently traveled to Japan. That family member also testing positive. Medical officials did note that the woman had underlying health conditions. They say she was admitted to the hospital after she came in with fevers, chills, and shortness of breath. She passed away yesterday at 1:30 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, officials announced that 2 of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 had frequently gone to the Hafaday Bingo Hall in Tamuning, and they're asking residents who go to the bingo parlor from March 6th through the 16th are asked to self-quarantine and watch for flu-like symptoms. If you do have any symptoms, contact the medical triage hotline immediately. And with a number of people already staying home as businesses shut down and many government offices closed, it's not clear if more extreme measures will be taken. A press release that was issued yesterday leaves some hints that it's not off the table, with a reminder to recipients of government benefits to safeguard their EBT cards in the event of a complete government of Guam shutdown. According to the press release, in the event of a shutdown, they may not be able to issue replacement cards if lost or misplaced. In a press conference yesterday, the governor and 2 of her medical advisors, Dr. Mike Cruz and Dr. Jolene Uggan, reiterated a plea for residents to remain at home. Additionally, they asked residents to isolate themselves as much as possible from the elderly. Governor Lulian Guerrero says the people most vulnerable to COVID-19 are those with existing medical conditions that compromise their immune systems, as well as the elderly. She says healthy younger people are more likely to have more moderate symptoms. Dr. Mike Cruz says 5 of the first 14 cases had recently traveled, with most of which linked to the Philippines. There is also strong evidence, he says, that COVID-19 cases have spread throughout the community and has affected residents in the north, central, and southern villages. Several days ago, officials confirmed that some of the people who tested positive for COVID-19 have been allowed to self-isolate at home. Cruz says temporarily isolating the COVID cases at home was done in accordance with the CDC guidelines and in precedents set by other states. He says those who were temporarily placed in home isolation were subject to monitoring by public health staff, which included home visits and regular phone calls to check in. Well, the governor plans to request a major disaster declaration for Guam. That's according to a letter that she sent to Guam's Congressman Mike Nicholas. Governor Lulian Guerrero, in her letter, states that this is only the first step in accessing the individual assistance programs, such as the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program, as this will require additional justification that the government surely has toward assisting our people. St. Nicholas had previously urged the governor to make the request, saying such a status would unlock special federal emergency management agency and small business administration aid. FEMA has a disaster unemployment assistance program that he says can provide resources to people who have lost their jobs due to the crisis. He adds the SBA has disaster financing programs that can help businesses stay open to prevent more people from losing their jobs. He says both of these disaster programs need the governor to initiate a disaster declaration for Guam so that the process can begin for subsequent federal recognition. Well, multiple security measures have been put in place at the Department of Corrections in response to the outbreak. The department now suspended all social visits and community work detail programs. Contractor access will also be restricted, and the contractors will be screened using an established visitor screening questionnaire before they enter the prison. Legal visits have also been suspended for the month, but case-by-case accommodations will be given at the facility, and confidential legal calls will be allowed in order to ensure access to counsel. Additionally, all new prisoners will be screened in accordance with the Guam Memorial Hospital's pandemic plan. More news after this.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. I know you love our KFC shrimp burger, so I'm bringing it back, along with our one-of-a-kind shrimp and crab Kelligwin. Take a break from your usual fish fillet sandwich and try our big selection of KFC seafood items. And, of course, we cannot forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken, too. Hurry in this Lenten season. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Schools are closed, and students who would normally get free breakfast and lunch from the schools will at least be given a lunch. Starting today, DOE will be launching their Grab and Go program, and it will be from Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. People who are picking up the lunches should stay in their vehicles. The schools where the lunches will be distributed include Agana Heights Elementary School, Estumbo, BP Carbolito, FBLG, GW, Inarahan, MU Lujan, JFK, Jose Rios, Southern High, and Weddingdale. And with a recent decrease in the price of fuel, the Utilities Commission will take a look at dropping your power rates. A meeting will be held tomorrow where the CCU will address the potential decrease in the fuel surcharge. The CCU would need to decide on the surcharge decrease before the Guam Power Authority can petition the public utilities for the reduction and potentially have it implemented by April. And beginning today, the Guam Waterworks Authority is telling customers that they will accept water and power utility payments via their drive-through service. The drive-through will be open every day, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 a.m. until 3:30 in the afternoon. The agency also urging people to take advantage of their pay-by-phone option, the mobile app, or online payments. And those are your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Boy, isn't it weird? We'll get to the weather in a second, but isn't it strange? Weren't we just talking about going to bingo a few weeks back?
Yes, we were.
I mean, it was an actual conversation that we were having as part of the regular BS here in the morning show. I think maybe just for
was it $12 million in the pot?
Well,
like
for the online bingo, the game, I think the most recent numbers that I saw were, hold on a second, the numbers last week is $35 million for the Thursday jackpot, $2.5 million for Saturday's jackpot. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about going to the bingo halls to see what was going on, to go and hang out with the old men, the old ladies, and see the big deal. Because, I mean, the huge prizes that they were giving away, and the several $1,000s, for things like blackout or, letter X or some of those things. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm glad that we decided to do something else that weekend other than go to the bingo place.
It's a complete lifestyle for a lot of people who, I mean, this is their bingo lifestyle. Mm-hmm. They go there every day, and they become part of that little bingo community where there's a lot of
in the senior citizens places, they do that as well.
Pastime.
So imagine if you think you're bored. Imagine being a senior citizen. The only thing that you got to look forward to is to get together with the other senior citizens and call bingo and play bingo all day and all night. Maybe get a couple of bucks, maybe win some prizes. That ain't happening for a lot of them. It was last week I was telling you that Plumeria Bingo and Fortune Bingo, even before the governor had said anything, had closed their doors in anticipation that it was going to change, number one. And number two, in dealing with their desires to have people socially distance as much as possible. Can't run a bingo hall if all your customers are dying. 8:14 in the morning. All right, is there going to be weather? Partly cloudy skies in today's forecast. Winds out of the east up to about 20 miles an hour. We'll see the same thing happening tomorrow as well. There's just not a whole lot of variety in the forecast here, which, if you ask me, is good news, because the last thing I think we need to be talking about is how the weather changes around the spring of the year. We've already got the disease on us. We don't need any wild climate changes going on as I speak. Working really hard now not to say the T word is what I'm trying to do. But we got some decent winds coming out, so get out there and enjoy the breezes on the beach, maintaining your social distance. And if you're looking to sunset hunting with people tonight, we've been treated to a couple of great sunsets recently. One that we had yesterday was great, all kinds of cool colors. Not so much on Saturday, but we got some decent colors out of that. Friday sunset was bomb. Did you catch that? Looked like UFOs, just massive UFOs, on the horizon, which would have been something else crazy to happen. We get the coronavirus and UFOs happening at the same time. So that kind of talk turns James Howard on. It's a quarter after 8 o'clock in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Brains, beauty, and a lot of power. What more could you want? The new Samsung Galaxy S20 is the phone that will change everything. With revolutionary technology, the S20 will unveil a whole new world for mobile photography by introducing a 108 megapixel camera and an amazing 100 times zoom that lets you find shots that never existed. Come into GTA today and experience a whole new galaxy. GTA, we start with you.
Got a great meme I'm going to share with you here on the Facebook Lives here. Somebody sent this to us. And if you've got cool things that you want to share with everybody, maybe drive a point home about staying home and washing your hands, check this out. Exhibit A coronavirus swab. Yes, that's where the swab goes. And for those of you not watching on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, it is a swab. Everybody's familiar with Q-tips, right? You ever go to the doctor and they actually do a swab thing? They're about 12 inches long. And the way it works is this thing goes into your nostril, goes all the way back to the back part of your sinus, about where your ear is. And we'll do a little bit of swabbing around in there, and that's what they send to the labs. Unless you want this done to you, stay home and wash your hands, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate you sending that meme along the way. And for those of you that are wondering where you might be able to get that swab, if you start to feel that little tickle, then FHP's urgent care services are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to serve you every day. FHP wants to assure you that they have a rigorous infection prevention protocol that meets local, state, and federal regulations, and their top priority is to ensure your safety at all times by screening all patients and visitors entering the clinic. FHP is able to serve you for all of your urgent care, adult medicine, pediatric, radiology, cancer center, pharmacy, and lab services. Find them in Tamuning. They're accepting most insurance, not just FHP's. FHP, our island, your clinic. Now, make this point for them. They've reminding you about their urgent care services. If you stepped on a nail, if maybe you broke a bone or something like that, cut yourself, go there. Don't go to Guam Memorial Hospital. Guam Memorial Hospital needs to be taking care of patients that are about to die from one thing or another, maybe coronavirus. So leave them there with their PPEs to do the things that they need to do at GMH and GRMC. Anything else that's not life-threatening, I know it hurts a lot, but if it's not life-threatening, go and find the urgent care at FHP, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And portions of the program also brought to you by Denny's. Life has changed there as well. Micronesia Mall and Tamuning locations are all set for takeout orders. So if you want to take away, Micronesia Mall telephone number 637-1802. In Tamuning, it's 646-1475. I know you're not going to remember that, but you still want to eat at Denny's? Go to their Facebook page, Denny's Guam, DENNYS Guam, and take a look at their menu. They'll give you the phone number, and then you can make the order from there. It's 8:18 on The Ray Gibson Show.
It's The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Pam Duvall in line, Anne-Marie Sablon Trousseau. Good morning, Lady D, Andy Camacho, and Sungi Guam, and Mary Park. That's Park with a K at the end of it, so I always give a little bit of extra when I say her name on the air. Jennifer Leon Guerrero Mendiola is on. I say good morning to Brad Hewitt, President getting ready to speak soon. Please listen to CDC. There's a lot of misunderstandings about what is being put out. Be nice if there was a way to simulcast on the radio. Actually, there is. I'll see if I can investigate something like that. If I can pull up that live feed on a browser, I can play it on the air. So if you see the link, then hook me up with that. Janice Avanzado is online. Sandra De Leon Guerrero, be back. Task Force update. All right, get your Task Force update, and then come back. When spent parts of her weekend on the beach, languishing under maybe one of the most beautiful beach hats that I've seen in a long time. Cody James, Cody, tell me how business is. Cody is a flight controller. And I'm kind of curious as to just how much business they're doing these days. Not a whole lot by way of airplanes with passengers coming in, but there's still mail and supplies and some other things that are coming in. So let me know how busy you are getting these days. I got Richard Leon, Vanessa Malumai is online, Lynn Vince, Borja Polino, Doris Abagatnan is hanging out with us, Chris Bacino, Deanna Palmer, Odessa Manley Ekfazi Palacios is online, Odio, Rai Rice Nicholas, Johnny Rosario from Candid, and Nicole Sablon Patricio goofing off with us this morning. Online on the actual phone line right now is Department of Labor's Dave Del Sola. Dave, earlier I was reading a story from the over the weekend's Daily Post about your rapid response at dol.guam.gov. We're talking about some federal unemployment benefits, grants, and loans and things like that that are available through DOL. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
You know what? I was bored out of my mind for big chunks of the weekend, looking forward to talking to people because otherwise it's just me in the house and the dog that doesn't like me. So I'm delighted that I got Mana and Real Joe, and now I've got you on the phone. How are you? How is it at your place?
It's quiet, but got the family around us, so we're just trying to watch movies together, clean up. But mainly, I'm just monitoring the phones and for the feds. I'm in constant contact with the U.S. DOL. We're working on a grant, and we're actually working on two things. We're working on that dislocated worker grant that we're speaking of. And most of these grants, we need to show data on the impacts of our island, even though it's pretty self-explanatory, but we need to keep that data. And that's where you got that rapid response at dol.guam.gov, because we need to show how is it affecting what industries, how many people, to the best of our abilities. So once that grant should be finishing up probably today, we already started the grant template for the DUA, the Disaster Unemployment Assistance. We got email from my feds on Friday saying that it should be coming out soon and we start to get ready for it. So we're starting to get ready for it, and that will be a real help to the island.
So what is your understanding on the disaster unemployment assistance? I mean, not unemployment insurance. We don't have that animal here on Guam. We don't pay into the UI on Guam. The employers aren't doing it, and neither is the government making any provisions for that right now. I mean, there's a couple of workarounds that they're talking about over at the legislature. I'm not sure how that's going to work, and it may work. It may not work. May not be required depending on this disaster unemployment assistance that you were talking about. How will that work for the employers?
For the employers, basically, the first thing we're doing is waiting to see what's going to be written, and the governor was correct. This is a kind of a totally different spin on disaster unemployment assistance, since it's a health pandemic type related. We're used to getting typhoons where right after the typhoon we get this aid, and then we help people who are out of work. We get the money, and then the other ones that are able, we put them to work with the help of the cleanup. And that's basically the whole foundation of the DUA program. And so we needed to kind of wait for a different spin, because when the monies come out, you can't really be looking for employment. You can't really be meeting because you're in a pandemic situation where everybody's got to stay home.
Yeah.
So that whole write-up needed to be a whole different type of write-up, and that's what we've been kind of waiting to see how this is going to be done. Now that we've kind of got an idea, we're applying for it. Nobody's really gotten it yet, so we're not behind the eight ball. You know, in my conversations with the feds, we're not behind anything. Really what the world, or the nation, I'm sorry, is waiting for is the stimulus package. We're waiting for the Senate to pass that. That's going to mean some real dollars to people. And, you know, we just got to monitor the news, and that's what everybody's waiting for, and a little bit, you know, sitting there and when are you going to pass it, when are you going to pass it.
I was kind of hoping it would be out this morning.
It was supposed to be done before midnight Friday. That was what my USDOL was hoping for. But, you know, you got a lot of people with a lot of different ideas on how they want to, how much, you know.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, they're still negotiating whether we're going to do the $1,000 per you know, head of household, or if it's going to be $1,000 every month, or is it going to be $2,000? You know, there's negotiations that continue to take place. Darn it, election year. Can you imagine? There might be people trying to use the government's money printing press.
This is going to be holding very closely to the election year on what these people do if they don't hurry up and get this passed. But that's kind of holding the whole works with the DUA and everything else. I think once that gets done and that gets out, then they'll start releasing and the president will start signing these declarations and start releasing the funding. And then we'll have a clear idea of how this program is going to work. But we're already working on the applications, and so that when it does come out, all we have to do is fill in what extra we need to do, and boom, it's out there. And we hope that we'll be one of the first ones in line to get these fundings.
We got to keep telling the story that this is an Asian flu, the China virus, and we are America and Asia. We are at the front line of all of this, and because we've seen such a downturn in our economy, but we've only got a couple of them. It's important that the cavalry rides to the rescue out here before anybody else. The dislocated worker grants. There's information here in the article, and I just want to touch on this for employers that are listening to start. Number one, see if you can find yesterday's newspaper for the Guam Daily Post, because it's in there. And number two, start capturing information on your employees, the name of the employer that has issued the layoff, employer names, locations, number of employees that have been laid off, anticipated date and length of the layoff if you know it, the number of employees with reduced hours or anticipated reductions in hours, when hours were reduced or anticipated to be, specifics on the reduced work week that's been imposed, the duration of your reduced hours, and things like that. Employees and employers need to start tracking that information, so as these grants become available, they're not. I don't think that they're just going to come out and say, here's your money. I think you're going to have to vet some of this information out.
And that's why it's so important. I know it could be a pain when you're trying to figure out how you're going to survive and do all this stuff, but this is actually the best thing that you can do right now. There's nothing else you can do. If you fill in this information and get it to us, then we can quantify it, and so we can properly ask the amounts of monies, and they can allot it to us. It's important to be able to tell our story with facts and data. And this is the best thing that all employers and employees can do for the island, because it's only going to turn around and help you when you're unemployed to find work, to get retrained. Of course, we can't implement this program right now because I do have displaced worker funding. It's just that we need to get control of the virus first and the spread. We can't be meeting and training and reemploying when we're supposed to be quarantined.
Yeah, well, everybody can just keep track of everything. That whatever paperwork you've got from your bosses, whatever emails, whatever WhatsApps that have gone out to talk about, you know, what's happening with your hours, what you're anticipated or what you're expected to be doing in this crisis time. You might be able to use that later on to be able to justify federal government either giving you money in terms of grants or helping the federal government understand the nature of the problem so that they can go back on these other programs and create create more systems, more safety nets for all of the employers and employees. This is an unprecedented time. Some of the things I'm hearing about are plans coming out of Washington, D.C., so I would be able to continue. No matter how bad things get around here, I'd still be able to pay my employees and then take that off my GovGuam taxes. Then GovGuam gets recompensed by the federal government. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing before. But we're talking about that out in the open these days, aren't we?
Yes, and that's why it's just as important for everybody to monitor what's going on in the state. They're the ones that are controlling what's going to come out and how they're going to help, because as everybody knows, Guam is not the only one here. I mean, all the states are in the same boat. So they are frantically trying to come up with hopefully some, one size fits all that we can take advantage of.
Yeah.
So I just want to say to the island, we have done everything that we can. We have taken advantage of everything that we can. It sits back at the Senate, back at the House. We're waiting for them to decide what we're going to be able to take advantage of as far as aid and grants and assistance.
Well, do me a favor, Dave. As soon as you know, have Director Cho send me a communique so I can splash it on the radio and let everybody around here know what's going to be happening. There's a lot of people that have got question marks. Everything is okay for now, and they take here for example. I got the lights on, got the employees coming to work. They're all staying away from each other while they're here. If they're here in the building together, they're soloed into their individual studios and then go. Fortunately, I haven't had to do anything with their hours. However, if it were to come to bullets and there were some changes that need to get made to hours, I want all of them to feel comfortable knowing that there is a backup plan and that I will have access to whatever safety net that they need to continue to be able to make their obligations. Dave, it's always fun talking with you, buddy.
Thank you very much. You have a safe one.
I will. 888-825-5888-TALK. 8:30 in the morning, and another meme. I got this from a flight attendant pal. How to be a stay-at-home flight attendant by two guys on a plane. Number one, put your uniform on. Spend 20 minutes in the bathroom crying, then offer a selection of beverages to your family. Periodically point out the closest usable exits to your family members. Number three, whenever somebody wants to sit on the couch, charge them an upgrade fee. When it's time for lunch, grab a box and sit right in front of the bathroom door while eating. And encourage your family to use the facilities at this time. If anybody in your house asks for a sandwich, make it with stale bread and charge them $10, credit or debit only. Turn off the Wi-Fi once an hour and wait for your family to complain. Not every flight I've ever been on. When the day is done, head outside to your pool or patio and drink wine out of a water bottle. You deserve it. It's 8:31. True facts, huh? True facts.
And isn't it terrible when everyone's home, your internet slows at home?
Because everybody's on 15 different machines.
And watching a really data-heavy movie.
Yeah, it starts pixelating. Here's the deal. I've got GTA service and I've got one of those Google Wi-Fi's in the house. So, frankly, if it starts getting slow over at your place, just drive over to my house, park in the front. Yeah, because I think you've got the password. Just park. You can watch whatever you want to in the front of my house. 8:32 in the morning. Jimmy Moylan is online. The senator's online. He's going to give me an idea of what they're up against over at the legislature today. Are they actually going to be in session? Has rules come out with a plan to use, I don't know, Zoom or something like that, so that we can continue to do the business of the legislature. We'll talk about that in a second, but Mana's got headlines coming for you right after these.
GPSI Guam is a professional technical services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They are SBA approved, 8A, and Hub Zone certified, providing program and project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
At the mall, as you enjoy your shopping, dining, or entertainment, you could also win 3 great cars from Atkins Kroll and thousands of prizes in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game. Present your mall receipts and have a chance to win the renowned performance Chevrolet Camaro, the unapologetic rugged Toyota 4Runner, or the head-turning Lexus ES350 Luxury. Getaways to Manila, courtesy of Philippine Airlines, plus prizes from Foot Locker and Burger King. The more you shop, the more chance to win in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game.
this is my thing, and I didn't realize it was a symptom of it until just now. Every once in a while, I'll start a conversation, and then just stop. Have you noticed that with me, right? Over the years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to finish that.
Yeah, you started a sentence.
So
and
you
then,
were saying Ron and his wife were at Pirates Cove 2 hours ago?
I started talking about my act of defiance by going to Just Pirates Cove and getting the last dine-in burger and drinking the last official you can drink at the bar beer, and I did, and so I started to tell that story. The punchline was Ron Canolis and his wife were there. And I never got around to saying that.
No.
So, and I walk in, and there's Jeff, and he's talking to him. I'm like, dude, this is great. He says, yeah, I like mine. They heard me on the radio talking about going to Jeff's, and they said, actually, that sounds like a pretty good idea. And Grace and her husband and the kids were over there. We were socially distancing ourselves. But they were over there, and a couple of other families came out by and by. And like I said, if for no other reason, it was the last chance to see. It was the last chance to go and get a great burger and a cold beer someplace groovy. Before everything started shutting down island-wide. And one of the news stories we haven't gotten around to doing yet is a number of cases where the Department of Revenue and Taxation has gone out and issued notices of violations.
That's
yeah, they were issued notices of violations to all of these businesses that, frankly,
that stayed open.
And they're
Video
not supposed
stores,
to.
pawn shops, and beauty salons and barber shops. You're supposed to close.
Where's the Buy Me Drinky bars?
You know, in New York, they're keeping the liquor stores
Let me
open.
ask Jimmy. Jimmy, what Buy Me Drinkies were open over the weekend?
I couldn't tell you on the phone, Ray, but I enjoyed my balcony and a couple of cocktails as I looked over the city light.
Because you know, Mama San's not quitting for nothing. She don't care what the governor says. Mama San's staying open. Me and my girls got to make some dough.
Yeah. That's for sure, and even after 2 a.m. as well.
Yeah. Hey, you're a senator. You can buy the lady a $20 drink.
Yeah. No, I won't. I can't do that.
All right,
You're going to get it, Senator.
Where were you on Super Bowl Monday?
Oh, that's right.
Hey, did we already do headlines?
Not yet, but
Okay,
I can wait. He's more important than me.
No, that's all. Jim, I just wanted to bring you in for that question. So I'm going to put you back on hold, and then Mona's going to take care of some headlines real quick, and then we'll come back and goof off about something else.
Well, there's strong evidence that COVID-19 cases have spread throughout our community, and people are urged to stay home. Dr. Mike Cruz, the governor's medical advisor, indicates that the virus has affected residents in the north, central, and the south. And a 68-year-old woman's become the island's first death related to COVID-19. 12 more individuals were identified over the weekend as having confirmed COVID-19, bringing the total number of cases here to 27. The 26 remaining cases are still in isolation. And the governor has activated the National Guard to provide support to the Guam Police Department. The airmen and soldiers from the Guam Air and Army Guard will provide perimeter security needs at the skilled nursing unit and at the 3 quarantine locations. And 2 of the confirmed cases of COVID-19 had frequented the Hafaday Bingo Hall in Tamuning. Residents who were at the bingo parlor from March 6th through the 16th are asked to self-quarantine at home. Anyone who has flu-like symptoms, you're asked to contact the medical triage hotline immediately for screening. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
I think that's a good plan. Respectable. 8:37 in the morning, and that's iConnect. Give iConnect the jingle later on and see what they're up to, what they might be able to do for you online and over the phone. 888-8888.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Mona says she's going to go cut her hair by herself. So this is must watch television, social media tomorrow when Monica gets in here to see what exactly happened there. And hey, Phil, Phil, I know it's happy birthday to you. Mana's going to come over. She's going to want to cut your hair, too. It's 8:38 in the morning. What am I supposed to be doing? I got any live commercials you want me to take care of? Which ones? Apple? Who?
APL and Subway.
Oh, I can do those off the top of my head. Swing by APL and ask them about getting stuff from wherever it is on the planet you need stuff. Lysol and toilet paper and Clorox wipes. They've got a source somewhere out in the world, and they can be able to get it here. Global presence with a local home. Also, the team over at Subway, and they've got all kinds of stuff lined up for you. Just recognizing, how important it is that everybody stay safe with each other. So maintain your social distancing when you get into the Subway locations. When you're ordering up that incredible footlong, there's a Subway nearby, open, ready for takeout orders. Their priority to serve you delicious meals that you love in the easiest, fastest, and safest way possible at Subway. Make it what you want.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
In 20 minutes, it's going to be 9 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, I probably should be looking at the traffic gizmo, but I'm not. I don't know why I'm scrolling through pictures on my phone. You ever get that where you just need that piece of comfort in your life and just go, everything is going to be all right? You start looking at old pictures and go, look, I survived that, right? Just ponder that, if you will, for a moment. A little bit of traffic north and southbound Marine Corps Drive up in Gigo. A little bit of traffic up around, for some reason, the schools up in Dido. Don't know why up on Route 3. A little bit of intersection traffic. Most of what you're going to get today is intersection traffic. Might see a little bit of traffic over at back and forth in front of. I was going to say the PD bomb holes, but that's not right. Over by Polaris Point, watch out for a little bit of that. Getting into Big Navy and Sumai should not be too much of a problem. In 20 minutes, it's 9. And that traffic report, right now, traffic brought to you by the team over at Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow.
Thanks to Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, people are discovering some of the lowest mortgage rates in years, right on their smartphones.
Rates are in the 3s?
And with Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, you can apply online, even for a VA loan, or sit down with one of our mortgage experts.
We should apply now.
Check rates and apply online today with Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii. Visit BOH.com/mortgage. Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow. Equal housing lender.
19 to 9 o'clock in the morning. The big news here that I got earlier today, Simon Sanchez says, CCU getting together with GPA tomorrow to come up with a plan, and they're going to meet in the usual spot there. But they will maintain the social distancing so valuable these days to halt the spread of the coronavirus, and I think that's great. But more importantly is the topic that they're going to be discussing, and that is rolling back of the numbers for the levelized fuel adjustment, the LEAC clause. Sorry, LEAC clause is redundant. Levelized fuel adjustment clause thing. Anyway, so they do this a couple of times a year, basically truing up. This is the price of gasoline. This is what we bought it for. Fuel, this is what we bought it for. And sometimes we need to charge more to make up for shorting it, and sometimes we can charge less for times where we get it right. It's like figuring out what your taxes are supposed to be when you fill out those forms in the personnel office. But numbers are going down rapidly. West Texas crude trading at $25.54 Friday. Friday, $25.54. Today, Jimmy, $22.63. We're beginning to see in some states where they're selling gasoline for first time since, I don't know, I was in high school, less than $1 a gallon.
It's incredible, yeah. If that could happen on Guam, that'd be great. But one thing we could do is also reduce our liquid fuel tax, cut that back for at least 6 months. Something I wish I could get past through the legislature, but it's one thing that I think can help.
If the government, look, if they need that money to maintain the roads, number one, we're not doing a whole lot of work right now outside of 1 and 8. There's not a whole lot of people hitting the roads right now, so they can suffer through a couple more potholes for a couple of months until we get ourselves back on our feet. But the idea is, I'd like a holiday for all 15 cents per gallon for the next couple of months. Can you imagine how much money that would leave floating around the economy? How much money that would leave in people's pockets?
That's right. Yeah, and that's the idea, to get the money circulated and to reduce the taxes in order for that to happen, to include the BBT. If I can't get it for 1 year, if I can't get it done completely, the compromise was for 6 months, from 5 to 4%.
Yeah.
Along with the liquid fuel tax, and for those small businesses that are, let's say, less than a $500,000 annually, the first 250, that's tax free as well, just to help these guys survive. So several things we can do, and of course, as we wait for the other for the other fuel costs to come down per barrel because of the world situation. But there's probably things we can do right away.
Well, I keep waiting to hear news about that coming out of the legislature. And for clarity, are you guys working today? Did they decide? It says that there's going to be session. It's funny, they scheduled an emergency session, if that makes any kind of sense. But it says there's going to be some kind of session. But how are you going to hold session with the body and still maintain the requirements of social distancing and isolation?
Which came down to that. Yesterday there was, we have our chat group, and it came down to some votes, and the decision was made not to have special session today.
I have mixed feelings about that. There's a part of me going, okay, they're not in session, my wallet is safe, and we're not going to have to put up with any ridiculous decisions that will be based on shoddy facts.
Right. And I think it's important that the legislature also show, per the guidance through the ADA there, that we stay home unless there's absolutely something we must do. And,
what was they were asking yesterday? I think the Speaker's office was asking of the Committee on Rules whether or not the legislature could have virtual meetings, and it's it's 2020. I don't see why not.
Correct. That's something we should be establishing. We can probably do it, but we don't have our rules in place at this time. So the Speaker, I believe, did write to Committee on Rules to look into that and to start establishing that. And I think that's a great idea. Yeah, maybe at the same time we can look at a part-time legislature if you're going to do virtual. Part-time.
Well, it's a de facto part-time right now. The legislature has not been able to meet since the executive order basically shutting the government down to its very smallest and most essential components.
Right. And we could, if the session does come back in later on when things calm down, I'm going to be right away bringing up those tax cut ideas again to help us during our recovery. And we also have, we recently passed a bill at our last session for the pandemic fund bill, which the governor hasn't signed yet, which gives her the authority of $1 million to come from the FY20 budget for the necessities that we need to fight the COVID-19. But so if haven't signed it yet, I'm wondering what the results will be of that, our efforts at the legislature.
Don't know. I think they're working through a couple of other issues here. I got from some friends of ours, the U.S. Small Business Administration's fact sheet for the economic injury disaster loans that are out there, and some people might be wondering, is this something I can take advantage of? And I believe the answer is yeah. You should be able to go to the SBA right now and start making your loan requests.
Right. Good thing that we have declared the economic disaster, and now we're eligible for this funding through SBA, low interest to help sustain the businesses as well. And by going to the website, I think that's how you can apply, and all the rules are there as well. So it's pretty clear. I visited it just briefly, and it looked something that we could easily get done for those that have the capability to go online. But to do the paperwork and go and visit SBA office, probably not yet until the situation is better.
Yeah, do everything online. HTTP disasterloan.sba.gov is where you can get the information. You can also download the application there. disasterloan.sba.gov/ELA. And you should be able to get everything that you need. Like I said, the information. Be prepared to provide some kind of credit history, your ability to repay the loan, and what kind of collateral you're going to be putting down for every over $25,000. So I think anything under than that, you should be able to get in with just your signature. Is that your understanding?
Yes, and then it can go as high as, I think it's $5 million, and a 30-year loan at a low interest rate. So depending on your business needs, right?
I think it's $2 million. Loan amount limits, the law limits EIDLs to $2 million for alleviating economic injury caused by the disaster. The actual amount of each loan is limited to the economic injury determined by the SBA, less business interruption insurance and other recoveries up to the administration's lending limit. SBA also considers potential contributions that are available from the business and or its owners or affiliates. If a business is a major source of employment, SBA has the authority to waive that $2 million statutory limit. So if you're like United here on Guam, or one of the other major businesses that we've got here, there's a chance that you might be able to get more than what you need. 3.75%. You might. I don't know if you can do better in the regular market, but it's federal loan money that is out there and available, and you should be able to sign up for it today. So hit those website, guys.
Right, and I understand also Saipan is already doing this too. And that FEMA has gone over there to assist them as well. So.
I want to say that these guys have been foot forward since the very beginning. You know, some of the original changes and warnings that my brother asked my brother, because he's on a couple of mailing lists in Saipan. So he was starting to flash me stuff about their visitor authorities and some of the things that they were already asking. This is late January, early February. They were already asking hotels and airlines to adopt the practice of not charging for cancellations or change orders. They sent out a note to all of the businesses out there saying, everybody's asking for to be able to cancel cancellations of their reservations. So let's be nice to these guys and ensure their repeat business when it's all done. Let's make it easy for people to be able to cancel and not charge them any kind of money. I was just looking at some numbers that came out over the weekend from the Marianas Visitors Authority, and unfortunately, their arrivals continue to drop. They plummeted by 30% in February alone. Imagine where they are for March.
Yes, I heard it's really still over there.
Yep. Incredible.
But fortunately for them, they did declare their economic disaster declaration much earlier. So, good. They're getting some assistance, and now that Guam has done it, then we can start getting that assistance as well. So I'm happy for that at this point.
Well, we need to think the same way that we will anticipate, hope for the best circumstances, but be prepared for the worst. They are saying it is projected that the tourism market will contract. This is CNMI now, but it makes sense for Guam. Will contract. Meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions will also be postponed or canceled. It is expected that public fear will continue even after the epidemic is under control. The desire to travel will remain low. So what you're feeling right now might be the new normal in the hospitality industry. I know it's not good news, but you got to be pragmatic about these kinds of things. It is possible that it could be some time before we see double-digit arrivals. Could be some time before we see double-digit reservations in hotels. You kind of around that area. Have you noticed the hotels down there? How few lights there are on in some of the big hotels?
Exactly. I was just looking at that last night. It's blacked out. No patio lights, no room lights on. It is dark.
Yeah, well, so now here's the contrast, right? Now, this is not the first time we've run into a hard time down in Tumon in the hospitality industry, but back in the olden days when all of the properties were owned by different companies, you get the Hilton, and old Manfred Peepers have somebody walking around on the floors saying, all right, turn on every third room. So it looked like they were full. So the guy all the way across, the guys over at the Reef and the guys over at Pac Star look over and say, wow, Hilton's doing great business. Look at all the lights are on.
There you go. Put all our customers on the front window and don't let anybody sit in the back.
Well, that was the other thing. I was looking at one of these hotels, a nice property, right? I'm looking at one of these hotels, and all of the beachfront rooms, right? Only one or two of them were on, but all of the side rooms, the hotel's Section 8 rooms that's where the lights were on. And I'm going, if I was the guy managing that hotel, I would immediately tell anybody that I have in less than a premium room to move. Everybody, if you are in just a plain old vanilla room, tell you what, thanks very much for coming. Thanks very much for keeping the lights on here. And we've got a room at the pretty end of the hotel with all kinds of other features, all kinds of other benefits, and unlimited mini bar and that kind of thing. Go and stay in the presidential suite, would you?
And
there you go.
I don't know why they're doing it, unless they're military. Unless they're military and they're going, all right, we had to sell the room to these guys at the absolute lowest level, our rack rate. So, yeah, you go ahead and sleep in the mouth breather section of the hotel. Hey, dude, it's always fun talking with you. I gotta let you rest. You're not working over at the legislature today.
No.
Okay.
We are not.
So answer me this question before we go. When I saw you on Saturday night, I said, Jimmy, it's going to take years for us to get out of this hole that the economy is in. You tended to agree with that. Are you hearing anything that might run contradictory to that? That there might be some kind of silver lining somewhere that we just got to punch through and happy days will be here again?
I don't believe so. I do think the military has assisted the island greatly by bringing in more troops, and maybe that will get our occupancy going, but it's going to take time for us to get back at that high room percentage occupancy that we've had. So it's a gradual process, but my job will be to ensure that I can make that positive for the businesses by cutting down some of those taxes to keep them going in the meantime.
I hear that.
But we'll survive. We'll make it through, and it's just going to take some time.
I got you. You have a terrific morning there, Jim. I'll see you soon. I got 8:55 in the morning. 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number here. Fox News Live coming up before you know it. And there he is. Somebody I've been trying to hook up with for the last couple of days. Actually, I sent him the thing. I said, hey, let's talk on the radio about what's going on the federal side. And he tried to call immediately because he thought yesterday was Monday. And I understand the stress of leadership, and I understand the idea that in these weird days, they all seem to kind of run together. There's not much difference between Monday and Thursday and Sunday. Good morning, Congressman St. Nicholas.
Hey, Ray. How are you doing? Is everybody healthy and safe with your family?
Everybody is doing fantastic. You know, we've got the family chat going, and I can tell that everybody is healthy and hale because of the nature of the jokes that they're putting out there, and the things that we are commenting about, and the usual people that are supposed to be snipey are being snipey, and all of that. Fortunately, we got more tests coming in, and I don't know. It's with the additional tests, we are seeing additional victims of coronavirus. Of course, you know that we had our first fatality over the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, and folks concerned now, it brings it to another level of seriousness, if you will. So we kind of stand out of the way. I'm not being very, very critical of actions that were or were not taken by the administration. They're in the game right now, and I kind of want to let them do whatever it is that they are doing to see to the needs of the community and make sure everybody is safe. Having said that, though, there's a whole lot that we look to the federal government for. And earlier I had former Senator Tony Atta, your old colleague on the radio with me, talking about some of the things that you're working through in D.C., and I figured, okay, well, let's get the actual congressman on. Mike, what are you working through in D.C. these days?
I think the question is, what are we not working through in D.C. these days?
Yeah.
I think what we're looking at in the history of this country is going to be the biggest ever relief package, domestic relief package that we've ever seen, just for a pandemic and in particular, and just for domestic economics in general. The circumstances are very dire all across the country, not just on Guam. Everyone's predicting that the unemployment rate is gonna skyrocket in the next data sets.
Yep.
And the real crisis is the fact that this country has always been powered by consumer spending, and this pandemic has pretty much taken that completely off the table. We already are in trade deficit as far as exports go. So really, it's only been consumer spending that's powered our economy, and this pandemic has completely taken that to heel. So we're going to see a lot of federal stimulus. I don't think that what we're going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks is going to be the one and done. I think we're probably going to see several versions of this kind of federal assistance. And the irony, for lack of a better word, is, you know, everybody's on board with this. You know, everyone's throwing out their argument of whether government should be getting involved, and everybody's looking to the federal government for this relief. So that's pretty much what what we've been working on.
Well, and it doesn't hurt for a lot of guys. This is an election year, and they're looking to be able to go back to their districts and say, yeah, well, you know, the one guy said 1,000, I said 2,000. One guy said it was $1,000, and I said no, let's make it $1,000 a month for 3 months. So there's still a whole lot of horse trading that is going on, and I think a lot of that's going to be driven by a lot of electioneering politics that's going to take place. Not that I'm complaining about that. I'm certainly not going to complain about that because I think there's going to be relief going out to individuals as well as businesses, and I think there's going to be some significant bailouts that are going to be coming. You know, my only concern on that is, you know, you're talking about this stimulus and this relief. You know, I remember shovel ready, and I will recall how many of these shovel ready projects still haven't been done, and how many of them came in over budget, overspent, and never quite delivered on the receivables that were promised. Will it be different this time? Will there be more surveillance on where that money goes and how it assists people in the economy?
Well, I think that's the crux of the debate right now in the body is that, you know, how is it going to be dispersed? Who in particular is going to get it? Who in particular needs it?
Yeah,
there's a lot of debate going on about that.
Because I can see us wanting to set up another administration of administrations to get all of this stuff done, and it just means that the government's going to grow, but the money will trickle out to members in the community. So we got to figure out how to make this as direct as possible.
Exactly, and what makes it problematic also, Ray, is that the more we try to put any kind of conditions on this, the more it's going to technically need to be regulated to make sure it's meeting those conditions, and that's going to create more bureaucracy, more time. More time is going to have to be spent, and we don't have time, you know, and we definitely don't have room for more bureaucracy. So, yeah, I think that you know, all those things are really circulating, and everyone's saying, you know, maybe we shouldn't put as much parameters on this. Maybe we should just make it be as generic as possible, so that, you know, it gets out there as quickly as it can.
Well, I think one of the smarter ideas that I've heard was I'm going to bypass the news this hour. We'll jump into Fox News later, and it's Sunday back in the States. There ain't nothing going on more important than the congressman on the line. But one of the best ideas I'd heard was as an example, like I will continue to pay my salaries, I will continue to pay my benefits to my employees. I'll take that off my taxes to the government of Guam, and the government of Guam will then take that and get paid back by the federal government. So we don't need to set up a bureaucracy that meets out the traditional spend back to the taxpayers. That would all be done at the government level, between state governments or territorial governments and the federal government. And my understanding that's already written into some statutes that the governments of the possessions will be paid back by the federal government, any taxes that they lose.
Yes, and that's pretty much been my focus, is just making sure that the territories are included in everything that we possibly can be included on. And so you are correct. The government will be, the businesses will be able to claim the credits on the leave they extend to their employees, and then of course that'll be to the government of Guam, and the government of Guam will get reimbursed by the federal government.
Right. Now the only thing is, I guess the only other concern that we have is to make sure that if we're talking about payroll taxes and business privilege taxes, that we don't get in front of any BPT loans that we've managed to take out in the last 20 years.
Well, I mean, you know, we are looking at trying to make facilities available for the government of Guam debt. Debt in particular for municipalities, but GovGuam, of course, in particular for my focus. We're trying to get the Federal Reserve to be able to help capitalize debt costs for municipalities for at least maybe a fiscal year, if not two, to try and take the debt load off of the budget, the expenditures that the municipalities have to focus on. Another thing too that I'm pushing out there is there's a certain provision in statute that allows for agencies to waive the local matching fund requirements for federal grants. And so we're moving on that as well. We've appropriated about $40 million for matching funds for this fiscal year at the local level. So we can get that taken off the books. You know, we're already halfway through the fiscal year. We can at least save another $20 million. So could not the president?
Miguel, could not the president do something about that by executive order? I mean, it's just amazing what I've been able to see him do, just going through rules in the federal government, looking at CFR and just putting scissors on everything and eliminating requirements. As an example, John Fernandez at the Department of Education was waiting for waivers coming out of was it the Department of Education or the FDA on what it was that they were going to be giving kids for the grab and go programs, and the president just eliminated the requirement altogether and said, I'm waiving the requirement to request a waiver. Let the states do what they got to do. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important for us to be working together as a local government to be engaging these things as expeditiously as possible. Whether it's disaster declarations or trying to get waivers for them, because we first have to declare the disaster before we can go and ask for a waiver for the need to have the federal government also come back and declare one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the steps that need to be taken, and we just need to make sure we're taking all the right steps.
Do you think, not to start a fight or to finish one, the governor sent you a response a couple of days ago to your letter regarding the impact of the coronavirus, and I guess you were concerned because it seemed to be taking her a long time to make that emergency declaration, the economic disaster declaration, and provide, what was it, five businesses to the federal government so that we could get in line for the disaster. Has that been done? I'm trying to read the letter, and it's kind of fuzzy in my understanding of what it is that she's actually trying to tell you.
What has been done was they put in their paperwork for the Small Business Administration to be able to recognize the disaster on Guam. The problem is that doesn't cover the FEMA side, and so even that small business side and the FEMA side, they both still need the government of Guam to declare a bona fide disaster. And so, from my understanding, the governor has finally done that. And so now the wheels can begin turning for all those different disaster-centered programs that you can.
Okay, because I was just reading from a friend of mine the rules and regulations for it. Again, go to disasterloan.sba.gov. /ELA. All of the information that you need is there. The applications are there as well. For most businesses, we've got a limit of about $2 million, and that's going to be net of other provisions that you may already have. You got business insurance, work stoppage insurance, things like that. All of those will be taken into consideration, and then what's left over is what the SBA will net you. You should start to be able to do that now. Guam's declaration 16388 now in effect for the coronavirus, and that's going to end up being good news. I'm sure that there are a number of businesses right now that are typing in the address that I just gave. What else are you going to be up to in Washington, D.C.? I imagine everything is coronavirus, CV-19 between the House and the Senate and the White House. Is that right? You got anything fun that's going to be coming up after this?
Well, I do want to take an opportunity, Ray, to talk about something very, very important. I just got off of a conference call with some members of the Guam Chamber. And so how there's been all this talk about how we need to flatten the curve with respect to the spread of the virus and trying to limit its effects and keep it in an area that we can control.
Yeah.
We need to apply the same flatten the curve logic when it comes to our economy. Right now, a lot of businesses, a lot of landlords, a lot of employers, a lot of HR departments, they're all looking at their enterprises and their operations within the framework of themselves. We need to flatten the economic impact curve of what the individual actions of each enterprise is going to do to the overall economic situation that we're facing. If the longer we can defer layoffs, the longer we can defer cutting hours, the longer we can defer evicting people from their homes, the longer we can prevent any of those things from happening within our own capacity, the more time we give for these stimulus packages that we're working on to finally roll out, make an impact, and find a way into the system to rejuvenate it. And so I wanted to just kind of put that out there to the community that while we're flattening the curve on the health side, trying to avoid making the illness worse, we need to flatten the curve on the economic side. Everybody needs to do their part to try and keep everything as status quo as possible economically, so that these federal relief programs can finally make their way into the system, and everything we can avoid as much front-end destruction as possible, which is going to make it harder for us to stand ourselves back up once the money begins rolling out.
Well, yeah, but you made a good point, though. A lot of the economy around here, outside of the hospitality industry, is driven by retail. It's driven by consumers, and consumers have fewer options to spend their money, and frankly, they're all in the house because everybody's saying stay inside the house. So businesses, if you can, as much as possible, hold your breath. The cavalry is on the way, and the cavalry is going to be there's going to be on the saddles. There's going to be bags of money that we just got to figure out how it's going to get, how much of it is going to be available around here, and how it will be delivered to the businesses so that they can pass those benefits onto the employees. There's one other issue here that has got, as you might imagine, everybody is unbelievably emotional about this. Was the sequestration, if you will, of active duty members of the military and guardsmen, retirees, veterans, etc., from access to the bases and the facilities on the bases. As you might, I'm sure you've seen on your social media from Guam, numbers of pictures. Unfortunately, in some cases, Manumco standing outside, waiting for their chance to go inside the commissary and the exchange, in the rain, in the sun.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of this could have really been avoided when we first were made informed. Of the policy, my first correspondence, I've already transmitted 2 letters to the military command. And my first one, I said, you know, if you push everybody into the weekends, you're going to create a bottleneck that's going to actually be even harder to manage. You know, and so it's not like nobody knew that these circumstances were going to turn out as badly as they did. They knew, you know, and so we're at a point now where we really just need to fix this. I keep reminding everybody that we're not asking for anything special. We're not asking for privileges to be extended in a way that you know are unique. We're just asking for it to be extended in the same way that it's being extended everywhere else. You know, if there does need to be some kind of scheduling management in order to make sure that you know there's more the health, the safety, the supply is all being addressed. Then, you know, look at the other jurisdictions throughout the country and apply the same methodologies here. You know, that way we're not just, you know, creating almost what looks like a second class of service member, because that was a real tragedy. You know, I mean, when I'm getting messages from Gold Star families telling me that, you know, their loved one died, and now they're just being told that this is just some privilege that can be taken away. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, you know, it's really a lot more than that.
I'm understanding in some places Navy it has been lifted. We'll see what happens with the other end of the joint region up at Anderson Air Force Base. Mayor Luis Rivera on the Republican chat found this: access privileges to Navy installation services are granted by law and AHQ policy. Distinct groups of authorized patrons, such as retirees, reservists, or veterans, should not be restricted or barred without prior coordination with CNIC HQ. In general, if a base service remains open, installation commanding officers should not bar selective groups from access without coordination with CNIC HQ. And so there's the adequate information coming out of some sources that the steps that they were taking out of an abundance, I'm sure, for caution and the safety and security of active armed forces members and their families was a step too far. We'll see where this all ends up going. Brandon has a couple of comments, and we'll get those on the air here in just a second. Congressman, I appreciate your time. I know how busy it is out there, and I can hear you coughing. You weren't exposed to anybody in the House that has coronavirus, are you?
There actually was a member in my committee who was confirmed positive maybe about 3 or 4 days ago. Yeah. So, you know, we don't know right now at this point what the status is on everybody else, but yeah, we're in the fire too, Ray. No one's escaping this, but we're all gonna do our part to try and make everybody come out of it at the end.
9/11. We'll talk again soon, Congressman Mike Nicholas. Again, appreciate your time, and you have a terrific Sunday night with your family.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, buddy. 888-825-5880-TALK. 9/11 in the morning. We backcast the whole Fox News Live, which we will do every once in a while, depending on the nature of the conversation or the person on the phone. Tough enough to get a hold of the congressman. I didn't want to have to break that into separate bits and pieces. And besides, what did I miss? What did I miss on the Fox News? Are they talking about just what a great job the president is doing? Top story on the website, McConnell's relief plan would pay Americans up to $1,200 a person, $2,400 per couple. Question is not a question of whether I want that money. I do. It's how do I get it? Who do I have to stand in front of? And please, God, don't put together. I know what's going to happen. I know they're going to make a whole bureaucracy about all of this stuff, and you're going to have to write letters to this guy and that guy, and you're going to have to show bank accounts and records and all of this other stuff. You know, it'd be like putting together another TSA, right, to hand out money, which is going to suck. President Coronavirus Task Force speak at White House on new efforts to curb the outbreak. I'll break into some of that here in a minute. 9:12, be right back.
Today, this is Congressman Nicholas. The federal government is making $7 billion in small business disaster loans available for small businesses impacted by the coronavirus. If you would like more information, please contact our office at 671-475-6453 or our local Small Business Administration office at 671-472-7419. You can also email our office at michael.sanicholas@mail.house.gov. God bless you and God bless Guam.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Guam is home to strong and resolved people. As an island, we regularly deal with the destructive forces of nature together. We at Security Title know that when the storm passes, our families and neighbors will join together to clear the debris, to barbecue whatever is thawing in our freezers, and get back to the business of wholeheartedly living our lives. As our island struggles with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, let us remember that this too shall pass.
I'm sorry. People are starting to post pictures of the movies they're watching on Netflix and the Hulus and things like that. And, you know, you can tell it's been, a weekend? Because it's scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel. Stuff that you would never, ever consider watching is all of a sudden you're going, well, that looks interesting. How many more times can I watch World War II in color? You know? Because it has the same ending every single time. Where are we? 9:14 in the morning. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by the team over at Wendy's. Now they have they're open at Wendy's for the takeaways. Obviously, they got big drive-throughs, always have. But you can't dine in, but you can order from inside to go. So you go inside, and one of the first things that you're going to notice is that they've got tape on the floor. That's where you're supposed to stand. And then there's another one 6 feet away for the guy in front of you, and there's another one 6 feet away for somebody in the back. Open for business, taking extra steps to ensure your safety. So check them out. The drive-thrus are fully operational. Open late, in fact, until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Hot and juicy burgers, chicken sandwiches, salads, chili, and baked potatoes. It's the real deal for value, still available for you over at Wendy's. Portions of the program also being brought to you by the team over at Orkin. Got some kind of bug you want to kill? I don't know what they can do with the coronavirus, but they can kill just about any other varmint we got here. Visit them at Orkin.com or call 646-7546.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
9:15 o'clock in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be anymore. We are heavy into the small talk portion of the program, but just because I call it the small talk portion of the program doesn't mean that we have to actively engage in small talk. Got something you want to share with the audience? You've got the telephone numbers. Don't be shy about using them. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, Ray.
How you doing there, bud?
I'm all right, brother. I was trying to catch you when you were on with the congressman in regards to, some of the base access for the guard, the reservists, the vet, and family members. So I've been trying to kind of push this up, just different avenues, but, pretty much unsuccessful. But one of the things I thought would possibly work is they say they're trying to limit, the crowding and the mass grouping by limiting it to active duty on certain days and then piling in the reservists and the natives on the weekends for a limited amount of time. I don't know why they don't just restrict the access to solely the sponsors or the actual service member, and that would eliminate an average of 3 to 4 family members from accessing those same facilities. I don't think what they're doing now accomplishes anything.
Other than ticking off the locals?
Well, really what it is, I understand they have to take measures to protect the services they provide. But at the same time, letting everybody come in on a 2-day spread, and then we outnumber the active duty personnel probably 4-to-1, 5-to-1 in some cases. So you're catering to such a small community that's not exhausting any more resources than they normally do. I mean, the Guard and Reservists aren't trying to purchase. Well, they might actually. They'll stock up and kind of run the shelves empty. But it'll happen when you do it the way you're doing it now.
For sure.
But if they were to restrict the access solely to the CAT card holder, the service member, or the sponsor, then you're eliminating all the other family members to include active duty family members, no dependents, until this is done. And that would actually allow everybody to use the service without overcrowding the facilities.
Brandon,
but I just don't understand where they thought that this was the great solution, and they're the only one across the United States implementing this measure. Our family members that are active duty stateside or in Korea or Japan, none of them are experiencing the same thing for the Guard and Reservists out there.
Yeah, what's possible that CNEC out in D.C. might come out at the yard in Washington might come out and say, yeah, we're hearing about what's happened on Guam, and you can't do that on the Navy base. I'm not sure about the Air Force. That's the guidance that I have was that the Navy has abandoned those restrictions. Not so sure about what's happening up at Anderson.
Well, that's what I heard too, but I haven't seen an official post from Joint Region Marianas. But the other thing is it's a completely discriminatory policy. I mean, it's discriminatory as discriminatory as you can get. I mean, to say that strictly the Guard and Reserve, which in essence what you're saying is basically the natives, right? The locals, and that's in essence what you're saying. That's what you're trying to restrict, There's they can dance around it all they want, but that's really was the intent. And I haven't heard the tag come out in any, and all the officers that are high on the chain in the local, the Guard and Reserve units, I haven't heard anything from them, and I'm wondering where they're at in all of this.
Oh, it's a good question. Let me see what I can find out. That's an awesome one.
She wears 2 stars. I mean, obviously she's not a true major general, but she wears 2 stars. And the admiral and the brigadier general up at Anderson, in all essence, you know what I mean? She should be able to talk shop with them, and I haven't heard anything from her in regards to those access.
I'll bounce a note to the acting public affairs officer and see what they've got to say about that. 9:19.
Yeah,
Brandon, I appreciate
your time, man.
No, I appreciate your time. Thanks very much for listening. And how are you and your family holding up?
We're okay. I mean, I'm a first responder. I work with Guam Fire, so we're out there every day, and our family members we're trying our best not to bring it back home and put our families at risk, but either way, I mean, it's what we got to do as a community. And as a retired service member, it really hits home when you've worked so hard. I have multiple combat deployments, and now I can't even access the base to fuel my vehicle or to purchase food for my family who also suffered 5 deployments, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a little disheartening that they would even opt to do something like that without trying to seek a better option. I mean, I think restricting solely for the sponsor would have been a better solution.
As opposed to and don't forget to bring Ray Gibson because he wants to buy a new TV, right?
Exactly.
20 after. Brandon, you take care of yourself. You take care of the family because, as you say, you're a first responder. So if I get in trouble for something, I want to make sure that you and your team are healthy.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ray. Thanks.
Okay, bud. I'll talk to you pretty soon. 888-8255-888-TALK is a telephone number around here. That's groovy. Edlin is online, and I see what's that? James Howard saying, check the SBA webinar guidance is coming soon. Okay, will do. Sherry Ariarte says, robbery up in Sinahanya last night. Family was home sleeping. I have not. Boy, I tell you what, I've not heard that. But I'm hopefully we'll get to somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of people that. Frankly, need to stay home so they can stop getting in trouble with the law. I don't know if you saw it. It's one of my favorite guys, literally on the planet. You know him, Johnny Uggan, and he runs a shop. In fact, I've used him before. He runs a shop where he got a bunch of guys, and they go out and they take care of people's yards. He's supposed to be cutting down a couple of trees in the back of my place, and now I understand why he wasn't able to do any of that. And the answer is because somebody broke into his shop.
Man.
But the thing, he put it on Facebook. He put the whole story on Facebook.
Was that the guy that caught the?
Yeah, that's Johnny Uggan Jr. Right, so he's the guy comes in. He says, and he's got the camera up here, and he walks you through the robbery in his shop. And so he says, all right. So number one, I knew. He says, I knew they're not Chamorro. Because he had a thing of toilet paper there, and only one roll was stolen. And he says, I know it's not a Chamorro, because if it was a Chamorro that ripped me off, they would have taken all of the rolls of toilet paper, but left one.
Yeah.
And he says, I know they're kids, because one of them left his step-ins there, right? He's left his steps of there, slip-ons at the scene of the crime. And then he went next door to a buddy that he knows has surveillance cameras, identified the guys, knew who they were, knew the Saki van that they had called in to take the stuff from, and an arrest has been made. James Niosi is the defendant. And the defendant was rather surprised in the video that he had been caught. He later on admitted it looked like he wasn't going to fess up to the crime, but he did. Later at Central Precinct, after being advised of his rights, the defendant admitted to breaking into the business and taking the items. Wrote a statement that he was wrong for taking the stuff and was going to go and get the items back. I love that story, and I love the way that Johnny told that story. And so I'm glad he's got his stuff back, because it means he'll be able to get to my house. Tony Askew is online. Bill Cruz says, every day I wake up, now it seems things are getting worse. In 24 hours, 22 tested positive. 1 has passed away. Then news about the bingo establishment. That's a large group that possibly got infected now. Things won't be the same after this epidemic is controlled. We just pray. No, things aren't going to be the same when it's all done. But this is what we pray for, that it will be better. I'm trying to put this positive spin, this positive angle on as much as I possibly can. Things aren't going to be the same. But were they all that great before? We got a curfew. Now they're enforcing the curfew. They found 10 kids out there that would have been out sacking or getting drunk or causing some kind of ruckus out there. But now they're enforcing this curfew. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that families are now forced to stay together. After everybody's been on the social media, all of a sudden they start talking to each other, playing games. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was John Palau that was looking at the Tsonka game, and it was just the worst game of all time. But it's it goes back to the old days. You know what you ought to do is next time you're out, go buy a couple of decks of cards.
Oh yeah.
Teach the kids how to play card games, like they used to in the past.
Like War.
War, yeah. Go fish.
Go fish.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to start with Texas Hold'em. They'll get there eventually. But blackjack and 21, even solitaire. Just go out and see if you can invest in a couple of those games. Worst comes to worst, you'll find online examples of them as well. What does it say? Caroline Diaz says, okay, so in this climate, we're in with a virus so deadly and highly contagious. Would a reasonably educated person jump into a pool knowing he hadn't gotten tested yet? Most people don't even know they're walking around with the virus until they feel more pronounced symptoms like fever and shortness of breath. My position on this gets more and more serious every day. And my attitude has changed a little bit on it, where last week, I was definitely in scofflaw mode. I was definitely in protect my freedoms, my liberties mode, and I still am. But I don't want any more. I don't want for the governor and the legislature and any number of other little tyrants that we've got out there to impose more restrictions on us. So I will do my best to abide by whatever the rules happen to be right now and try not to do any unnecessary gallivanting around or rolling around. Am I still going to go to the beach? Yeah, because I know I'm safe there. Everything is going to be okay. But am I getting involved in any other group gatherings? I was supposed to gather with some pals on Saturday and thought better about it because I didn't want to get sick from somebody. And by sniffling, I didn't want to give my sick to somebody else. It's that much more serious now, so I'm paying a little bit more attention to it. 9:26 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. We all got to eat, though. That's the thing, is we all got to eat. And so I'm delighted. I got my buddy Cosendo on the line, who's among many things a marketing genius, but he's tend to be a out of the box kind of thinker. And I think out of a degree of frustration of not knowing where all of the deals are for to-goes and drive-ups and things like that, Cos actually started a page on Facebook. Good morning, Cos.
Morning. How are you, Ray?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Thoughts and prayers, and as usual, out to friends and family, but even more so to friends and family that take care of me on a going basis. No secret that I've got favorites from Mosa's to Poke Fry to Venue to Crust to Kitchen Lingo, all kinds of places in Agano where I like to spend my money for meals and drinks and company. And I'm really worried about my kind of extended bar and resto family. And I'm glad that you've put together a page on Facebook to keep some of those lights on.
Yeah, I've got a pretty big family, as you know, and my older kids work. One works in the hospital, one works at the restaurant, and it's a little bit more closer to home. And I'm going, where are you guys going? And they're like, oh, we got to go to work. I said, don't you tell your boss close? And of course the hospital can't close. And the restaurant, they're like, well, we got to, there's no, like the congressman was saying earlier, there's no necessary economic relief in sight yet. There's no guarantees of anything. So, people got to do what they got to do. And since the governor in her wisdom said, okay, let takeout still be, part of the business plan for
thank God. Thank God.
Yes, I think that was a great move. That's all they got, and people have to remember while we quarantine, there's a lot of people out there who still have lots of bills to pay and are probably just paycheck to paycheck, even the businesses. We tend to glorify business owners as rich people, but a lot of them are just, really month to month too. So I thought, okay, hey, let's, without getting too political, let's put out a positive page. Where can you find food? Who's open, and more importantly, who's not, so you don't go around too many places. And get your food, get home, and eat. And so we kind of keep a positive vibe. I've deleted a few posts that criticizes the service. I said, you got to do that directly to the restaurants.
Yeah, don't shame post on Facebook. Not in some places trying to help. There are a couple of other people that I want to say, not necessarily on your page, but others that have been critical of you love me now businesses that it's you cater to the military and the tourists, but when times get hard, now you want to market to us. You know what? Yeah, if you want to feel that way, you feel that way. But I tell you what, you think about the employees that work in these places. This is how they pay their bills. This is how they can afford to shop at your place. So don't start giving the local businesses a hard time just while they're in a hard time trying to keep the lights on.
Well, in that vein of conversation of, you love me now. Oh, I love my kids' teachers more than ever now because I'm daddy daycare 24/7. How do you keep them entertained? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Keep them educated. Yeah.
Tricky, isn't it?
Well, that's because I wasn't a very good student. So I don't know how to, I'm like, okay, well, that's you could do that later. And then I'm getting the stare from Kelly saying,
the kids have got to do it now. No, because otherwise you don't lay the stockpile. It's going to be the end of spring break, and they're not going to have any work done to take back to school if it comes out like that. So going into this, support is the name of the page. Is hashtag support to go Guam. Support food to go Guam is the place, and it's an open group. So if you are a restaurateur in this town, maybe you're doing business, maybe you're just a pop-up somebody and want people to know where they might be able to find your food to go, then this is the place where you post it. And people want to know this kind of thing. People were asking me about dinner on Friday night, and I could only come up with a couple of names off the top of my head to send them to. But by Saturday morning, all of a sudden it started to click. People are going, oh yeah, Outback is doing this. Oh yeah, Jamaican Grill is doing this, but only in one location. So it's nice to be able to go to someplace on Facebook and get everything that you need from all the different shops that we've got. Well, from most of the shops that we've got.
Yeah, it's called crowdsourcing. And of course the businesses are busy just trying to take care of business, and they may not be in a position to post new things, especially smaller operations.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, there's a lot more people out there, and so and for people looking for something to eat, rather than having to go to 5-10 different pages or trying to, worse, even call the restaurant because they're so understaffed right now. They just go to this page and then they can scroll through, ask questions, and usually somebody that's already been there, done that, will have an answer well before the restaurants can respond. And I also wanted a place where the restaurants felt safe to post something without getting criticized, like, oh, you're marketing during this downtime, shame on you type of thing. At least here, everybody's guilty,
You know what? I'd actually heard that from somebody. That was concerned, and I'd sent her a note. I said, "Do me a favor, let me know what's going on with your place, and I'll put it on the radio." And the response was, "Yeah, but don't go overboard with it because we don't want to get a backlash from people going, well, we're in a shutdown situation. You shouldn't be open. You should be closed, and not inviting people out into the community to get something." I'm going, wow, that's some kind of crazy thinking that some people might have if they were going to be critical of situations like that. People have to eat. Cooks need to cook, and waiters need to be able to wait on somebody, even if it means just handing them a paper bag full of food.
Absolutely, and I think it's the wrong attitude. I mean, if the government's saying shut down and they're open, then that's another thing. But they have said it's okay, and they understand the economic reasons for it. So, don't be ashamed. Put your business on there if you're serving food or you're a small place that needs customers, and plug away. That's the way I feel like Ray Gibson on the radio.
Do it. So here's now a couple of things. Do you have links there? Because I don't want to go. I just want to be able to call in the order and then call somebody else. You know how in the Philippines they have Grab. And Grab, you can get in a car and take a Grab to a store, or you can call the Grab and they will go to a Jamaican Grill and pick up your plate of ribs and drop it off at your place. Do we have a lot of companies like that on Guam, and are they getting reviewed for their services on Support Food to Go Guam?
Well, Food to Go, we don't do any kind of critical review or even recommend. That's the whole point of an open forum. I just kind of put the platform out there. And I'm kind of a cheerleader on the sidelines, but other than that, I try to just stay out of people's way. But I know there's two delivery services. I think it's called Food to Go, I want to say, or Good to Go, and the other one is Grub and Go. And I think they, when I was picking up some takeout the other day, I saw these guys picking up a lot of food. So that service must be doing robust business, and good for them. They're. This is the reason we need that, good old capitalism. But
I wonder if there will be more businesses like that. I wonder if it will change the paradigm, if you will. I mean, these takeaway orders, this like the Grabs in the Philippines, and like what's the one that we use in the States? It's all over Europe.
I think I know what you're talking about. I forget the name though, but yeah.
What is the name?
Grub?
It's they don't have it in Manila anymore. They used to. It's at the tip of your tongue too. I forget it. Huh?
Grub? Was it Grub?
No, it's the driving service. You call
Uber.
Call an Uber. Yeah. In Europe, God, how am I so stupid? I couldn't
It's
remember
a Lyft.
Uber.
I think they call it Lyft.
Lyft is another one, but the Uber they actually got in trouble because they were getting guys. So I would be the Uber guy, right? And I would do the Uber delivery, and I'd tell somebody call me up and say go to Moses and pick up whatever cheeseburger. Okay, but I wouldn't go. I subbed my Uber account to Real Joe. And so Real Joe would get it, and I would take the difference between what he charged me and what I was charging the customer without actually doing anything. But those systems exist. So I'm wondering, you suppose maybe there will be more of those kinds of things as we get some of these serial entrepreneurs out there, guys like you that go, hey, there's a need to be able to do this. And do you suppose it will stick around even after we're done with this, even after the pandemic?
That's the funny thing about this, right? This is totally considered a disruption, right? There's always disruptive things and tipping points. You read about them in the business books, and this is one of those true disruptions where you had no choice. You just had to stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I would think that if the sort of the quarantine period extends beyond March, you'll see entrepreneurial people go, okay, this is the new norm. So let's put together a business. And I think that's kind of how it's going to work. I think with April, pretty close ahead of us, it won't happen within the next 2 weeks, but thereafter, you can bet Stroll might add another feature to their service. They're already drivers all over out there.
Yeah.
And they might say, okay, we're going to get the right permits to pick up food and deliver it. And and go from there. So yeah,
Can you imagine how much money you could make just lunchtime, dinner time, and just here's the deal, guys. You call me up and I'll tell you where I'm at. We'll put together the software and I will say yes, I'm going to pick this up and drop it off for you. Charge whatever you want to for it, and there might even be competition from among the businesses to be able to make different kinds of offerings and things like that. It's a blue ocean that you can swim into if you will. If you really start thinking about what the opportunities are as opposed to what our limitations are in this time. And so everybody in the world now is typing furiously away at their keyboard because I'm stupid and I couldn't remember Uber Eats. There's 20. If you're looking at the screen now, there's 20 people saying Uber Eats. Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it. The vast unpaid research department of the Ray Gibson Show. Cause it's always a delight poking around in your head. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you take care of that cough, and we'll see you soon. Stay safe. Bye.
You know, at 9:37, and wash your hands. Support Food to Go Guam. Just do a Google, look that up on your Facebook, and see where your dinner or your lunch is going to be coming from. In 20 minutes, it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning. The Ray Gibson Show continues after these. iConnect time.
Denny's is making lunchtime a little more special. Every Monday through Friday, they serve a variety of local favorite soups, such as chicken adobo on Mondays, oxtail soup on Tuesdays and Thursdays, chicken tinola on Wednesdays, and pork synagogue on Fridays, while supplies last. All orders are served with rice. Senior citizens get a special menu, which includes a free soup or salad. Make Denny's your new lunch spot, located in Tamuning and the Micronesia Mall.
Tell you what,
Cocoa Coffee Company mugs are now here. Show pride for your island as you enjoy your delicious Circle K coffee. Each generously sized 16-ounce mug is etched with Guam-inspired images like Chief Gadao, Serena, Two Lovers, and many more. The Cocoa Coffee Company mug collection is available for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Get yours today and collect them all. Exclusively available at Circle K locations. A portion of the proceeds go toward the Cocoa Bird Recovery Program.
How sweet. 9:38. I was going to tell you, the guys over at Denny's, they got all of that stuff, but it's to go only. So go to Denny's Guam on Facebook. That's what you're looking for. Denny's Guam. Take a look at the menu. It's got phone numbers for the Micronesia Mall and Tamuning location. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines. APL, a global presence with a local home. My understanding is that they've got an APL ship steaming to Guam. If it's not already here, it is steaming into this location. And no doubt inside they're going to be replenishing of all of the things that we need. Big, huge bags of Calrose rice and dog food and maybe some Clorox wipes and Lysol. I'm told that the Lysol shipment is coming in this week, so take a look at some of the usual spots that you go to and see if you can get your hands on another can or two. You don't need a million of them. Just a couple of cans, that's all it's going to take. And portions of the program also brought to you by Chili's. Chili's to go. 20% discount on all orders to go. Takeaway. Call us at 648-7377. Again, 648-7377 to place your order today. Visit chilisguam.com to look at the menu. Curbside delivery is also available at Chili's second floor of the Tumon Sands Plaza in Tumon. Well, this is an interesting website. It's petitions.whitehouse.gov. Are you familiar with it? Yeah. Petitions.whitehouse.gov is where people go and they send requests to the federal government. And the deal was, I want to say the deal was if you get 100,000 more signatures, then the White House would take proactive steps to resolve your issue. Now, among them, though, that I won't believe that they will be discussing is what's in Area 51, or can we see the bodies of the aliens that got knocked out of the sky or whatever? Can I have all the details on Roswell? So they aren't going to do that. But generally other things, I mean, if they feel that there's enough interest, then 100,000 signatures certainly would comprise a great deal of interest. They will act on it. And this one here, it says created by I.V on March 22nd, yesterday. This is what happens when you're in quarantine, right? Where you're sheltering in place and you haven't left the house in 4 days. You're starting to get crispy everywhere, even your brain. Remove the governor of Guam. There's a petition on petitions.whitehouse.gov. As with most recall efforts, the recall of a governor often begins when an individual or group decides to take action because they're dissatisfied with the governor's job performance. Although Guam is not a state, it is under the administration of the U.S. Department of Interior. We call on Congress to investigate the shortcomings of the governor and her disregard for the public safety of the people of Guam. While the world was closing its borders due to the rapid spread of COVID-19, Governor Lulian Guerrero urged the people of countries infected with COVID-19 to come to Guam, promoting the fact that the island was coronavirus-free. Today, we mourn the loss of our first COVID-19 casualty, period. When I clicked on this, they still needed 99,929 signatures. And you've got a time limit. You've only got until April the 22nd to get it done. Now, the click you just heard was me clicking the refresh on this to see if anybody else has gone in to add their names to this. Still needs 99,929 signatures to get it. Frankly, I don't know why you'd need to go to the Department of Interior through the White House to get this done. I mean, if you want to, there are recall availabilities here on Guam. It's okay to, you just go to the Election Commission and find out what it takes over there. I believe that there is statute that provides for the recall of any sitting political office. You remember when we were talking about that deal with the mayor of Jonya? There were people that were petitioning to have him recalled one way or the other so that they could move forward with a special election. He finally decided that he was quit because they stopped paying him. And now he's just, defendant plus. But if you really wanted to, it'd probably be easier to do it here, if you like, as opposed to trying to get 100,000 signatures on the White House's page. Which, again, I'm not sure that anybody is in the White House is actually going to pay attention to. 9:43 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number. Let me see who's playing around on the Facebooks and who's currently goofing off on the Facebook Live with me now. Millie Lujan Fison is there. Dave Dueña said, you've heard many times now, Governor says she doesn't have the authority to stop incoming flights to Guam. True. I say ask the NAI for the authority to do that. Or whoever over at the FAA. James Howard says, my stock on Pornhub is up 2,000%. Nice. Continue streaming, citizens. I didn't know you could buy shares in that. Because normally at the bottom of a website, you'd see, investor relations or something like that. I had not seen anything like that. Joey Tova says, I, among others, have served honorable and with distinction. Some of us have fought in war since World War II to the present conflicts. A far cry from what any of us deserve. Obviously talking about the discrepancies between who could and who could not go into the base over the weekend and during the course of the week. Janice Wong, so is it going through the unemployed program? Does Guam have that office? There's no unemployment insurance on Guam. We don't have that animal. And we never have. It would require payments to be made into an insurance account, unemployment insurance account. And there would have to be, I forget what the number is. There's an offset so that it makes it more palatable for businesses and the employees to be able to set aside some of these monies for times like this. But what they're talking about here is, and we talked to Dave Del Sol about it a little bit earlier, it is the dislocated worker grants that they're going for and disaster unemployment assistance. Guys, and if you're affected by this, and there might be some people that are listening to the broadcast. I see one or two of them right now on the line. There might be one or two of you that have been affected. The boss says you can't come to work anymore. I'm shutting the place down, and we don't have any more hours for you because we got no customers that are flying in anymore. Nobody's coming to our restaurants. We're not even going to be able to stand up a to-go business. So I'm sorry. Better if we just cut our losses right now and see what happens down the road. The federal government, frankly, and considering how lethargic and slow the federal government can move, I'm surprised to see just how much movement has already taken place just by the President of the United States, just under his own executive authority, some of the things that he has been able to do. I mean, you got kids with student loans. Wouldn't he just forgive the interest on that for the foreseeable future? Hey, that's a big deal. For some people, I mean, that seriously leaves hundreds of thousands of, maybe hundreds of dollars in student pockets and graduate pockets every month. So that's going to be good. And just all kinds of other extensions and revocations of policies. And that's, again, we're praying for things to get better. And so think about the way things were before coronavirus, and wouldn't it be cool if some of the more topping things that we've had to deal with, rules and regulations out of the federal government, even out of our own local government, what if all of a sudden those things got jettisoned just out of convenience and never came back? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be a cool thing? Who else is playing around? This is a good idea. We were talking about how to get the money out of the federal government into my pocket. Use Social Security platform. Done deal. Electronic deposits in 3 working days. Well, if they know what my account number is for people that are already collecting Social Security, I'm not collecting. I'm not collecting Social Security just yet. That's the plan down the road, and I'm hoping that I'll live long enough to be able to see, at that second threshold, right? When you can start checking in for Social Security, because there's one age that you can get. I forget what it is. It's what, 62, 65, something like that. What is it, Joe?
I'm 62 probably.
Yeah, whatever.
But if you wait a little longer, you'll get more.
Then I can get more. So that's the thing here. I got to keep myself healthy so I can stay in for the big equity. Because otherwise, I really don't have much by way of long-term savings over the course of the years of retirement and things like that. That's why I got into radio. That's why I continue to plug away at this and try to spike the ball on a daily basis. Because I ain't got no retirement. I'm hoping to work until I die. That's the deal. So I was thinking about something a few minutes ago. I was thinking about that meme about what to do if you're a flight attendant and you're not flying around. I thought that was pretty funny, and it got me thinking about what it is that I ought to be doing if I could not come to work. I told you I've got the technology at the house. I actually tested it over the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was one of those projects. That was one of those things to do so I can kill an hour.
Cool.
Was I set up my part of the broadcast infrastructure that I would need. So if it came to bullets, if I could not, if I fell sick, right? If I got the coronavirus, I obviously could not leave the house. I'd be under shelter in place. I would be under my own mandatory quarantine, right?
What we do about Mana in the news?
No, she can still come to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I figured you would be at home in your underwear, and I could be in my underwear here, and nobody would be around, and we could just do the show like that.
Back in the old days when radio stations were just guys. This in my memory. I remember when it was just like guys and the traffic lady, and she only worked until 5. But anyways, so I've got the gear, and I've actually tested that gear, so I could, if I needed to, broadcast. And I was pondering the idea of what would happen if coronavirus and you weren't here, and I just opened the mic and pretended to broadcast. I just sit there.
That would be eerie, like legend eerie.
Yeah. Well, that was all. That was the idea. Was eventually I'm going to get senile, and the idea was when I'm senile, just set up a microphone, a little console at the kitchen table, and I will in my senility interview the governor and lieutenant governor, and hey, we've got Simon on the line.
I'll play along with
the
you.
other governor, Kenley and Guerrero. So where's my head at? 10 away from the top of the hour. Let me grab Pete here before we're all done with calls. Hey, Pete, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ray. How are you?
I don't know. What have you heard?
Not much.
That's my favorite answer. You should start answering whenever somebody asks you that. That's what you should answer. I don't know. What have you heard?
Well, I'm tucked away deep in the woods in Agate and just trying to stay away from everybody.
Is that now? Are you doing that just cause, or is that like your normal MO? I'm underground, and that's the way I like it.
A little bit of both.
Yeah. Nice.
I normally do. I normally, stay in my little cave.
Dude, you know what you got to do? You got to go out there and keep an eye on the kids, because I'm worried about the kids, the youth in Agate. Nobody seems to be providing any adult control over these guys, and they're all out sacking cars like they sacked my own the last time I was down in Agate. So we need adult supervision out there hiding in the boonies. Whenever you get these kids,
on behalf of the people of Agate, Ray, we apologize.
No, it's all right.
We won't let it happen again.
I appreciate it, but somebody needs to be out there with a pellet gun. You see these kids walking around at night? Shoot them like the stray dogs there. Just pop out a couple of times with a pellet gun until they get the message that they should be at home.
Well, I've got some other tricks up my sleeve, but I have to keep those secret.
Right on.
But anyways, the reason why I was calling was because I braved going out to the commissary yesterday after the snafu on Saturday, and it was smooth sailing, and there was like barely any line yesterday on Sunday. But it got me to thinking, you know, who was the legal advisor for the commander? You know, just because you think you can do something doesn't mean you should.
I think that was a point Luis Rivera was making on the Republican chat, was that those kinds of actions are determined in Washington, D.C.
Right. So that was my point. Is he obviously must have sought advice from his legal advisors, but they probably told him, "Yeah, you could do it, you know, under these emergency circumstances." Turns out they were wrong, and it happens. You know, I've been a legal advisor for 3- and 4-star generals before, and we don't always give the right advice. But obviously, my question was, and I called Tall Tales on Friday, was, you know, could a base commander at that level take away the privileges that's, you know, given by statute and by DOD proper? And probably in certain situations, but this wasn't one of those.
I don't believe this was. I think maybe another kind of disaster, maybe an imminent attack or something like that, or the outcome of an imminent attack or disaster. I think those are things that, or if your communications between here and CNIC were otherwise unavailable. Then maybe you can make that decision on your own. I tried to tweet the guy in the Naval Yard in Washington, but the phone was busy and I had to make the decision now.
Right. And you know, like I said, it just, even if you could, a good legal advisor who's been around the block a few times would be able to tell you, you know, you could, but should you?
Well, but isn't that a problem? We would talk about at a different level in the conversation, and maybe that might be the problem. Is you got the JAGs that come and go, but you know, where's the guy that's been on the base for 30 years? Where's the guy with chief level intelligence that never leaves? Everybody else comes and goes except this guy, and he's the guy
those are the civilian guys that have longevity, but this is not really their area that they deal with. See, they deal with more of the contract stuff and all the other kind of stuff, but the stuff dealing with command authority, that's your uniform guys.
Yeah, but so in my mind though, it would have been a perfect opportunity, and if she was still there, I'll bet she would have stood up. But you know, somebody like an Annette Donner that has been out in the Pacific for the last 45, 50 years, who knows the way things are and what the expectations of the local community are going to be. Even though she doesn't have any hashes on her sleeve, or she doesn't have any medallions on her or lapel or anything like that, I think sometimes that advice is invaluable to a command and ought to be sought out every time there is a question that deals with you know, changes in policy that affect people that live and work on the other side of the fence.
Well, you know what? My theory is, Ray, is that they were looking in the news and seeing what was happening at the Walmarts and the Targets all over the states, and they're like, "Oh, we got to protect the commissaries from that." And I think that was the knee-jerk reaction, and turned out it backfired on them.
Yeah. Well, frankly, it should have been. We are the sanctuary from that. That would have tried. If it was me, you know, hindsight's 20/20, and it's always easier when it's cheap seats. But if it was me, I would have tried to say, all right, we see what's happening in the States, and go out to all of the customers of the base and say, this is what we intend to do to maintain stocks. This is what we intend to do to maintain the safety and security, so that everybody can enjoy these facilities and the benefits of your service, the privilege of your service. So this is you know, but and there's still time, I think, to reverse some of that and to get that good name back in the community. Just going to take a little bit more time now. What's the deal what's the deal on trust? Is it takes years to build up, but seconds to lose?
Yep. And one final thing, the inside was completely stocked. I mean, stocked more than normal. So everything I needed or wanted was there, and in more quantities than usual.
Yeah, well, because they've got their own supply lines, and they know where they're getting stuff, and they've got their own control on the inventory and the customers. So I'd say it's a little bit easier to maintain the stocks of supplies. Hey, let me know when they got Lysol.
They do.
Then that's where
they limit you to 2.
So interesting conversation that that's floating around in a couple of emails, and believe it or not, it is in favor of price gouging, in favor of raising prices to meet the demand. And the idea is if you do something like that, you're more likely to actually have the merchandise as opposed to telling everybody that you can still buy ice and toilet paper for $1 a roll, and then it sells out.
Right.
Ponder.
I saw that one where the first one is regular price, the second one is enormously increased. That's the way to enforce the limit.
Yeah. Is you put higher prices on them based on the demand, and it is possible that anti-price gouging legislation actually does more harm than good. But I'm going to leave that in the hands of the academics and the theoretical economists. I got to run, Peter. It's always fun talking with you.
All right. Thanks, Ray.
All right, Council. You have a fantastic rest of the day. What's that guy saying? I was talking about, calling on some of the old mossbacks that some places might still have access to. Guys that, and who was this? Oh, you're talking about Gunny Malone of the Devil Dogs with a 1,000-yard stare. Yeah, or Bob Klitsky. Next time, you know what, Commander? This is what you do. The next time you got one of those tricky questions, find Klitsky. It's 9:58. Real quick break. I'll be right back.
Today, this is Congressman Nicholas. The federal government is making $7 million in small business disaster loans available for small businesses impacted by the coronavirus. If you would like more information, please contact our office at 671-475-6453 or our local Small Business Administration office at 671-472-7419. You can also email our office at michael.sanicholas@mail.house.gov. God bless you, and God bless Guam.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
GPSI Guam is a professional technical services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They are SBA approved, 8A, and HubZone certified, providing program and project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
As we stand up to coronavirus by standing back with social distancing, Bank Pacific reminds you that you can come to the bank without going to the bank. Use many of our other delivery platforms like online banking at bankpacific.com, accessing cash at our ATMs, shopping with our debit cards. For businesses, we have secure cash and check drop windows, and we are employing a new smarter mobile app with remote deposit capture in the next few weeks. We're all in this together, and together we will win. Bank Pacific. Brothers but branches, we place roots. Member FDIC.
Thanks, Phil. Talk to you pretty soon. Closing in about the last 40 seconds of the program, and enough time for me to remind you about a couple of things. Number one is they've got the grab and go all set up for all students under the age of 18. Not just public school students, but private school students as well are going to be able to go to a variety of places. Most of the elementary schools, John F. Kennedy, Southern High, have got access to the grab and goes, and go and take advantage of that. It starts at 11 o'clock this morning. Also started today from 8:30 until 3:30. You can pay your power bill and your water bill over at GWA. They've got a drive-through thing going up there. It might even be just a drop box, but they've got a drive-through payment option available for the utilities up there. Hey, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. This is The Point. KUSG, I got you.
A Republican coronavirus response bill needed 60 votes to move forward in the Senate, did not get them. That vote tied at 47.
Even before details were finalized, an expansive economic stimulus bill designed to respond to the coronavirus pandemic stalled in the Senate, failing to win any Democratic support. The measure, expected to total nearly $2 trillion, could provide direct payments to taxpayers, billions for hospitals, and loans and other incentives for small businesses and large corporations. Democrats, however, argue the Republican proposal failed to protect workers, describing the outline as a slush fund for big business. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, ahead of the failed vote, signaled House Democrats will unveil their own legislation this week. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Help is on the way to areas hit hardest by the coronavirus outbreak. That promise this